What's going on, everybody? RotoWire live stream round one of the NFL draft. Coverage is going live in about 5 minutes. We will have 8 minutes on the clock this year, guys, for the first time. So should move a little bit faster. Nick Whalen, Jagger May, Jim Coventry will be hanging out with you throughout round one, giving you updates, giving you analysis, fantasy talk pertaining to every pick. We'll have John McKechnie stopping by. Might even force against his will Alan Soslowski to come on, talk a little dynasty, bring in some of your friends from RotoWire. But boys, one of the best days of the sports calendar has finally arrived. I know both of you guys have been working a ton behind the scenes over the last couple of months, preparing for tonight. Not expecting much of a surprise at number one, but I'm sure both of you guys have been tracking the movement as far as the odds to go number two. Seems like the New York Jets now leaning Arvell Reese. Are you buying into that?
Go ahead, Jagger.
I mean, for me, Arvell Reese is the high upside pick. I worry, as just for someone who's a fan of Reese, Aaron Glenn getting a hold of him and ruining him, because like right now he is a good player, but to get him to that Micah Parsons level, he's going to need coaching. And right now, everything that I see of Aaron Glenn, I just get the ick more and more every month. So if I were the Jets, I would go David Bailey because I just think he is safe. But there's undeniable, when it comes to upside, Arvell Reese is the second best player in this draft, in my opinion. So,
yeah, and first of all, most importantly, welcome to RotoWire, Jagger May. Full-time, you're with the team. You're
well
leading the charge with Nick here. This is exciting times at RotoWire. Arvell Reese, yeah, that's a secondary story right now. But I will speak about Arvell Reese.
I'm not quite there. I'm not quite there with Arvell Reese. They definitely won't be paying me second pick overall money, I'll tell you.
Right? No. But for right now, till he gets picked, the story's Jagger May. I will talk about Arvell Reese, though. And I wish you'd have been with the Buccaneers because we call him Arvell Reese, but that's not going to happen. Anyway, my point is this. Maybe Aaron Glenn could ruin people, but I'm telling you what, today's NFL, if you've got a movable chess piece, and he's not Micah Parsons, but when you can move somebody around the formation, you could put him on the edge to rush, you could put him in the middle to cause chaos there, you could drop him back. Like Jagger said, I can go to either one of the top two guys. I just think Reese might be a little more movable as a chess piece, but no dispute here.
Mm-hmm.
So Jets have 2 first-round picks, Jim. They're also picking at 16. That, of course, via the Sauce Gardner trade midseason, which I think is looking pretty good if you're the Jets. And obviously they have needs well beyond the defensive line and the linebacking core. I feel like every single mock that I've looked at this last week has a receiver going to the Jets at 16. Is that your expectation, Jim?
Yes, 100% my expectation. Garrett Wilson's a superstar. Missed some time last year, but he's always been healthy. Breece Hall in the backfield. Mason Taylor, we're hoping he develops in the second year, but they need a secondary receiver. This is a great draft to get one. I like Mekhi Lemon. He does profile as a slot, but you can move him outside some. I think they need that versatility to go along with Garrett Wilson. And Geno Smith certainly is not the answer, but at least it gives them some ability to be competent on offense for now.
Mm-hmm. And whoever's going to be quarterback in the future, they're just going to need help. And I wouldn't even be surprised. I wouldn't hate Kenyon Sadiq. I like Mason Taylor there as well. But, having Sadiq and Mason Taylor, then dipping into wide receiver the next draft class, and then you have someone with even higher upside, that's me even getting a little bit dynasty brain with the NFL, and it doesn't always work like that. But anyone can agree that wide receiver room is atrocious. I was a huge Adonai Mitchell fan this time, his draft class, but I just don't know what he is in the future. And right now, he is slotting in as a wide receiver too, and that's not solid.
How big of an upgrade is Geno Smith at this point? Jim, I'll throw this one to you. From the three-headed monster of Justin Fields, Tyrod Taylor, and Brady Cook. Like, yes, it's better than that. How much better is it? Like, are you willing to burn a second round or an early third round pick on Garrett Wilson, whether we assume the Jets are taking another receiver or not, just based on the quarterback play?
I know a lot of these football pseudo type scouts, they've been gaga over Geno for years. Geno's not that, but Geno's functional. Geno can make basic throws. And the line in New York, not necessarily terrible. The tackles are good enough. And so that said, Geno can get the throws made. The Jets defense is not to the level where they're going to be in low scoring games. They're going to have to score points. So as long as Geno gets a little protection, you got Garrett Wilson. And look, offensive coordinator, definitely features the screen game to the running back, and Breece Hall is a great outlet there. Geno can be functional and get Garrett Wilson enough. So am I going to aggressively target Geno? I mean, Garrett Wilson, probably not aggressively target him. I want more upside. But it's been hard to argue the floor. And Garrett Wilson's some really sketchy quarterback play before the injury in the prior years.
Yeah, and this is one where the dynasty guys are locked in even more to the draft than some of the redraft bros are. And for dynasty, I am aggressively targeting Garrett Wilson because I don't think that Geno Smith's going to be the coach next year. I'm not sure Aaron Glenn or the quarterback has a Freudian slip. I don't think that Aaron Glenn is going to be the coach there next season. I do know that Garrett Wilson, no matter where he's at, is a very, very good player. And if he continues to be cheap, as long as he is still, south of 28 years old, I'm going to continue to buy that dip in Dynasty. Redraft, you just know, you feel good if he's your wide receiver 2 or 3, depending on how you build. You're always going to feel bad if he's your wide receiver 1, unless you really, really drafted well at running back.
I think if nothing else, we have established that we are universally skeptical of Aaron Glenn going forward as the head coach of the New York Jets.
I will bring it up again, Nick. I will.
This will not be there. The Jets aren't even on the clock, boys, and all we've done is talk Jets so far. Again, coverage just started up now of the actual NFL draft over on ESPN and on NFL Network, so should have the Raiders officially on the clock shortly. My hope, guys, is that they don't take the full 8 minutes with the entire world knowing what they're going to do, but we will see. Teams have a way of dragging these things out. So we were talking potential receivers for the Jets at 16. Now we have seen some movement at that position as well, as far as first wide receiver drafted, wide receivers to go inside the top 5. If you've been tracking the odds on this stuff over the last few weeks, it has been pretty much unilaterally Carnell Tate expected to be the wide receiver 1. Jim, is that going to be the case? Are we going to see Jordan Tyson now as the first receiver off the board?
There's been a groundswell for Jordan Tyson. And at the end of the day, athleticism means a ton at the NFL level. They run the combine for a reason. Now, he didn't test there, but they watched him. And they just wanted to see him do something in his pro day because they saw on the field. They didn't need a combine test. But that said, the player this player's going to go to the Saints at 8. Mickey Loomis, he has never shied away from a player with an injury history if he thinks he has the athletic player who's there. He's much more athletic than Carnell Tate. So I think when Mickey Loomis is on the clock, he's not wasting any time. He's taking the upside player as opposed to the safe player in Tate.
How do you rank those two, Jagger? Tate versus Jordan Tyson?
To me, if it stays at, again, when it comes to landing spot, it'll be different. It's just Tate to me because I feel like no matter where he's going to be at, he can go out and be the man. It's kind of like Egbuka was, where it didn't even matter that Godwin or Evans was there. He showed out there in the beginning. It didn't really matter what happened. So I'm all in on Carnell Tate. But if the Chiefs get Jordan Tyson, that's a different story because the Chiefs get their golden boy who can actually do everything and is the athlete and not just some speedy guy that they're hoping ends up as Tyreek Hill.
Jim, do you buy this idea that the Chiefs might trade up from 9?
The Chiefs are always an interesting team because obviously Mahomes' salary, Chris Jones' salary, it really drives the train. And to get cheap players, it's important. And if you could get under control for 3 years, because that's when the extension is going to have to come, if you could get a franchise changer that early, it's possible they do it, but it's unlikely. Because here's the problem. When you're dealing with the Chiefs, this is the first year they have a good draft pick in forever, right? Well, they're going to get back to their winning ways probably soon. They have to keep the infrastructure of the team built, and that means they need those mid-round picks that Steve Spagnuolo could get those diamond in the roughs in the secondary to put together. So in theory, it's nice. In practicality, the Chiefs continually need to work around the cap. They need players.
Yeah, I think they're in best player available anyway. So it's like cool. If I get Tate, that would be amazing. I think that Tate, Rashee Rice, and Travis Kelce can coexist with Xavier Worthy. I think he's more of an accessory than he is like a consistent target. If they get Caleb Downs, awesome. He can play as well. If they get Ruben Bain, there's a spot for him. They are one of the best teams that are in one of the best positions when you can just be best player available.
I think this is obviously a huge draft for KC because among, like, you look at the other teams that have multiple picks, they're mostly bad teams, right? It's Miami, it's the Jets. We can debate where the Dallas Cowboys fall in that hierarchy, but these are teams that are essentially rebuilding. There's not a lot of pressure on 2026. So the Chiefs simultaneously need to find guys who can, mature and be future pieces, but also contribute right away, which is sometimes, Jim, a tough needle to thread.
There's no question about that. And so there's a number of ways the Chiefs will view a draft, but this is going to be an opportunity for them picking at 9. And that is just unheard of. And so you're right. I think if I'm the Chiefs, I would trade. If I get a second pick, I would trade back. Because, again, if I could get a later first and a second, and this talent pool in this draft, this is not a great high-end talent pool, but if I could get 2 picks in the first 2 rounds as opposed to the number 9 pick, like Jagger said, they need players. They got to get their best available. Well, doing that with 2 picks, I think that's in their long-term health. And this is the thing they're not going to be able to do in the future because they're not going to have the 9th pick in future years.
I agree. And what they can do is get multiple tries at the strength of this draft. Because like you said, we don't have like the 2027 receivers coming in or the QB play that pushes down a lot of that high-end talent. But we still do have tons of, I think, are great edge rushers like TJ Parker or something like that. So if they trade back and get someone who I like a lot more, I'm a big Zion Young guy from Missouri. I think that's an ideal Spagnuolo pick that it may be ugly to a lot of the casuals there. But if you think at the value that he could come in and possibly be a Chris Jones replacement in the future at a discount right away, and then pick up more, like you said, Jim, of those other accessory pieces that we know that they're able to coach up, that's a slam dunk. And it's like we talked about with Belichick back in the day. It's like, oh, they didn't rebuild, they just reloaded this season,
So I think we can operate under the assumption now that Rashee Rice is in the clear. That's what the NFL's told us, at least. We'll see if anything else happens this offseason. But you mentioned Xavier Worthy, Jagger, who is going a solid 80 to 85 picks later right now in some early drafts than he was a year ago. Obviously, some of this will depend on what the Chiefs do tonight. Do they add one of those high-end wide receivers? But let's say they don't. Let's say they stay away from wide receiver tonight. Are you willing to take a shot on Xavier Worthy at, according to the ADP I'm looking at the NFFC right now, pick 135?
He's the dreaded better in best ball. If I'm playing best ball, then like fine. But like if I'm playing in an actual league with human monies that I have to set that lineup myself, I just don't feel great. He's the same player I scouted. Like, a lot of guys are saying he's an elite route runner. I'm like, he's a decent route runner, but he's not a guy that I see routinely separating. And he's had every opportunity, particularly last season, to come out and be somebody, and then he hasn't done it. Rashee Rice, right away, dominant target earner, leaves. Xavier Worthy doesn't do anything. Rashee Rice comes back. What do we get now? It's back to the shadow realm for Xavier Worthy, and Rashee Rice is the elite target owner. That's why I think they need to get a receiver again, because once Travis Kelce is gone, I don't love Xavier Worthy as a wide receiver too, or a second target in earnest without him there. So I don't know.
I told everybody last year before the season started, why did Xavier Worthy finish strong in 2024? I said it was real simple. They forced him into the Rashee Rice role because they had nobody to play that role, and he was putting up 20 fantasy PPR points a game. I said, what's going to happen in 2025? I go, it's real simple. Guess who's playing the Rashee Rice role after the suspension? It's Rashee Rice. Guess what role Xavier Worthy's not going to play? The Rashee Rice role. Therefore, he is a situational deep threat. And guess what? We love Patrick Mahomes, but he has not been a great downfield passer for 3 years now. His downfield percentages have been lower than ever. And now the league plays so many too high shells, they're not giving you those explosive plays. And Worthy, contested catches, he was awful. And because he's 165 pounds, Travis Kelce took him out in week 1. He ran into Kelce, and guess what? He was down for 2 weeks. So good luck with that.
Yep.
All right, boys. Raiders are officially on the clock. We got about 4 minutes left. Looks like they are going to take this down. Now, ESPN has shown nothing but Fernando Mendoza highlights for the last 4 minutes. So I think we can safely assume we know where this is headed. I'll throw this to you, Jagger. Over under 7.5 games started for Kirk Cousins to begin the season for the Raiders. How long can the Raiders actually hold out Fernando Mendoza? Because teams say this every year. More often than not, the pressure builds, something happens, that rookie quarterback ends up being out there.
I think it's a great way to Gerard Mayo yourself. If you want to go out there and pull a Gerard Mayo, fine. And the reason why I say it is just like, what's the point at the... I do think if he had an experience problem like J.J. McCarthy, I would understand why you would want him to sit, maybe get some practice reps, and then develop later, but he doesn't. So just get him out there and start making him get a rapport. Mendoza.
Jordan Schultz has reported the number 1 pick is in the Raiders. And who did they take, Jagger May?
Fernando Mendoza. Oh, thank God. They didn't do anything crazy or Raidery. You're still scared until it comes in.
Yeah, maybe we shouldn't have just assumed, given the franchise that we're dealing here. But there it is. Pick is still not yet officially announced on ESPN. But yeah, we know how this goes in the modern draft era. So Fernando Mendoza to the Raiders. Very simple question, Jim. Do we have to worry about either of these Raiders quarterbacks in redraft this year?
Well, here's the reason I don't think so. Clint Kubiak is coaching the offense. What does he do best? Rollouts, play action, bootlegs. Kirk Cousins on the roster. What can Kirk Cousins not do? Bootlegs, play action, and rollouts. I think he's a mentor. They're paying him good money, though. So does he get a game or two? I guess it's possible. Kubiak can't run his offense with him. We saw Derek Carr for a couple of games go off in New Orleans before the team got struck with injuries. We saw Sam Darnold do extremely well under Clint Kubiak. And so I just don't think that Kirk Cousins can move. But again, he might get a couple games. So if you draft Mendoza, and you're drafting him as a QB2 anyway, because he's not running. It's not the national championship game. He's not running that big touchdown in. So you're drafting him as a QB2. So if you're doing that anyway, he's starting by the bye week.
I agree. It's like you said, what did Mendoza do well in college? Running a similar offense that was very structured and lots of boots, lots of rollouts, lots of getting the ball out quick. And if Kirk Cousins can't do that, why not start winning games right away? You've built a team to win games right now,
Do they have the wide receivers to win games, boys? We got Trey Tucker, Jalen Naylor, Jack Besh, Dante Thornton. That's your top 4 right now.
I need to answer this. And I'm going to cut you off. Here's what. We have corporate sponsorship here, man. 5 Guys Restaurant. Because who do the Raiders have at wide receiver? 5 guys. Good luck naming them. Good luck who they are. It's 5 Guys Restaurant. That's it. So you guys can take it away. I had to get that one out.
I like Bowers. I like Genty. You could do something with that. I like Jack Besh. The issue is that he lives in a similar area of the field as Bowers does. So Thornton and Naylor or whatever, they have to build whatever X and outside receiver play in the algorithm, and I don't love that. So, yeah, I mean, I think that they can have an effective offense, particularly if that offensive line can generate any type of protection for particularly Genty, even more than Mendoza. That will really determine how the offense really gets points for anybody, whether they're actual Raiders or for us in fantasy.
I still very much worry about Genty. I love the player. I don't think he's a bust by any means. I think the vast majority of the shortcomings last year were due to the lack of infrastructure around him. I know they addressed some of that. I think upgrading at center is a great way to start. I still don't know, for a guy you sometimes have to take at the end of round 1 if you really want him. If not, early round 2. I think I'm taking Chase Brown over him. I think I'm taking Saquon Barkley over him. I am still willing to let somebody else be the Genty guy. I don't think the market is going to appropriately adjust quite yet in year 2.
Go ahead, Jagger.
I was gonna say I think the line for me is right at Chase Brown. Barkley, I can do. I don't love Chase Brown, and like I think he gave me the ick as a prospect, and I can't get past it. So
Okay.
I will say this. I'm not one of those big advanced numbers guys, but adjusted line yards, the Raiders line got nothing. Colton Miller, the left tackle, almost missed the whole season. They drafted Jackson Howard Johnson. He missed most of the season. Colton Miller's back. You mentioned Linderbaum. Great run blocker. And Kubiak with that outside zone. Well, guess what? Linderbaum knows how to pull, and that works that out. Genti was breaking tackles at a super high rate, but he had nowhere to go, and no defenses were respecting the pass game. So he was basically facing a nightmare every week. I'm a little more optimistic than most because we saw him as a receiver. We saw him as a runner. I think he was as advertised, but sometimes you just can't get around the situation you're in. I get both of your thoughts on him. I'm just slightly more pessimistic.
Mm-hmm. I failed to mention, by the way, they do have Philip Dorsett on this roster as a receiver as well. So they're good. They're set. They're all good. Goat. They don't need to add. Did not even realize he was still in the league. We have him as the wide receiver 7 on the roster, according to our depth charts at RotoWire. Jagger, is there a receiver later in this draft that you think could be a target for the Raiders? Obviously, they invested in Besh and Thornton a year ago. Still very much TBD on both of those guys.
If they want something that fits what Kubiak likes to do, they're going to need some route running. So I actually do like if Casey Concepcion would fall.
The pick is in. Jordan Schultz is reporting the number 2 pick, the New York Jets. David Bailey. Jagger May was right. Edge rusher. Take it away, Jag.
Wow. Yeah. David Bailey, I think, is just one of the safest prospects in this class. He is incredibly speedy off the edge. And what's underrated about his game is he's decent off ball in coverage, so he can drop back and do some robber things that I think someone like Aaron Glenn is going to want to be able to do. And again, when you look at the pressure rate, you look at Ruben Bain, everyone's excited about how productive he was in college. I mean, David Bailey was right there with him, even with the transfer and going somewhere like Texas Tech. I expect, and I wouldn't be surprised at a dark horse to go back of the first round, Jacob Rodriguez to go with him, because these two guys were just absolute game wreckers for Texas Tech. This is a safe, smart pick.
And like we said, somewhat of a reversal from where things were trending. Jets were throwing smoke screens out there. I feel like there was equal reporting on both Reese and Bailey as of like an hour ago, but David Bailey officially the pick for the New York Jets at 2. Again, the Jets will be back on the clock at 16 with that Colts pick. So we move on now to the Arizona Cardinals. Guys, this feels, not that we knew what the Jets were going to do. We felt like it was probably down to 2 specific players. But now we can start to speculate a little bit more on the Cardinals, who feel like kind of a linchpin team. So, Jim, your expectation for this pick at 3?
The Cardinals want to desperately trade this pick. You've heard the smoke the last couple days. Oh, my goodness. Look what's going to happen. They're going to draft Jeremiah Love at number 3. Seriously? Not happening. They need a tackle. They need an edge rusher. Good draft for that. Here's what they did. The Cardinals knew the Titans are in line to take Jeremiah Love. So what they told the rest of the league, we're going to take him. So if you want Jeremiah Love, don't go knocking on the Titans' door. Come knocking on our door and give us picks. That's where I think it's going. Am I crazy, guys?
No. Again, the Jeremiah Love stuff. Were you a Jeremiah Love away from being competitive? No. And next year you can get a lot of people they just need an elite guy. Guys, you can get elite players, particularly running backs, in day 2 in almost any other draft but this one. There's no need to blow that pick on Jeremiah Love when you can get an Arvell Reese to build around, or I would even hate if they get Caleb Downs this high. I know a lot of people get hung up on positional value. Get a stud.
There are some high-profile examples, by the way, of safeties who go in round 1 working out. Like there aren't that many examples in history, but most of them have gone pretty well. It's been 16 years. I think Eric Berry was the last to go top 5 in 2010. Mm-hmm. Worked out really well. 3-time All-Pro. I'm totally with you on Downs. I think this is the draft. If you If you want to take a safety in the top 5, it's more acceptable. If that's what a team is worried about optics wise, it's way more acceptable to do that in this draft than it has any draft in the last decade. I would not really understand the love thing for Arizona specifically. Like, yeah, you could even sell me on Tennessee because at least they have the quarterback, but it's like you have really nothing else right now if you're Arizona outside of a tight end and possibly a good wide receiver. We don't even know for sure in Marvin Harrison Jr. Like you're so far away, in my opinion, from being where you want to be, with Jacoby Brissett currently as your quarterback. Again, at least with Tennessee, you could sell me on, all right, we have the biggest piece in place. We'll bring in a running back to help him out. With Arizona, I just wouldn't understand that at all.
Mm-hmm.
Still waiting in on this pick. Arizona, I really think, how do you pass on Arvell Reese here? This is the type of player that this organization needs badly. But I want to talk to that point you made about Caleb Downs. And I'm going to say this. The league is changing. Nick Emenwari last year, Kyle Hamilton a few years ago. When you can find a safety with versatility, who has range to cover the pass, who can get in and stop the run. When the league sees more, there's 3 really good safeties in this class. Don't be surprised to see them get drafted really high, because when the league can get safeties that they can weaponize, you guys are right. That's the trend of now. But again, it has to be the right player, and Downs is one of those players.
And what's unique about Downs, and I'm curious, and at the Eneman as well, is that like people want to put them in certain boxes, and both of these guys are way better in coverage than they are than like Kyle Hamilton. Not that Kyle Hamilton's bad in coverage, but where he gets a lot of his value is he's a borderline elite box linebacker, and he can rush the passer. Caleb Downs is fast off the edge. He plays closer to Cooper DeJean than Dylan Thieneman does, and I think Dylan Thieneman plays closer to like an Ed Reed rangy type, or like Eric Weddle than he does to Cooper DeJean. And like people, I just think, are incorrectly comping both guys. So when you have someone like Downs, who you're not going to get the Derwin James, Nick Emenwari style, how are you going to use him? And if having more of that nickel upside is as valuable, because I think more than ever, the NFL needs to stop doing the value position beyond off-ball linebacker and running back. Again, just get some studs.
There's no, hey, Tom Pelissero broke some news. It's a story. Really, it's a line. But Tom Pelissero says an NFC executive said recently, if the Jets don't take Bailey with who they did with the second pick, they're out of their effing minds. They should fire themselves. So there are plenty of GMs, and Jagger May was on this as well, that we're going David Bailey. So love that call.
Mm-hmm.
Still waiting for the Cardinals pick.
The smoke was not smoke. With the 3rd pick in the draft, the Arizona Cardinals go Jeremiah Love, running back out of Notre Dame. Take it away, fellas.
I don't love it.
Hey.
I get the talent grab. I get that there's a significant drop-off to the next running back. You brought in Tyler Algier. You made a point to bring back James Conner for some reason. You still have Bam Knight. You still have Trey Benson. Like, I don't even know if you can make the positional need argument. I don't love it. I don't love it. Even after saying in this draft, you can kind of do whatever you want based on positional value. I mean, you guys know as well as I do, when I can sit here and talk about how taking safeties high, yeah, there's some high profile examples of it working. Anecdotally, without looking up the full list, I feel like more often than not, taking a running back this high, especially when you are in a rebuild, traditionally has not worked out. It worked out for Saquon Barkley's second team. It did not work out for his first team. I don't love this. But Jim, let's get a fantasy reaction on this pick. Jeremiah Love 3 to the Cardinals.
So one thing I worried about is if Jeremiah Love had to split time in his first job. And look, James Conner's getting old. And last year, yeah, he did miss 14 games. But normally he's available for 13 games. James Conner's been the heart and soul of that team for a number of years. And I know they signed Tyler Algier, whatever, and Benson's been hurt every year, including college. I think that James Conner is taking the goal line work. I think James Conner is going to get 5 to 8 carries a game. And I really worry that Jeremiah Love is not in that situation where he is going to be the full 3-down back. So I'm looking in for fantasy. I'm looking at Jeremiah Love late second round, early third. But if he would have fallen in a spot where I thought he'd get all the work, man, it would have been better. What do you guys think?
Yeah, this is nuts, man. Right now I'm Dr. Manhattan, and it is 2023, and I'm watching Bijan Robinson be sniped by Tyler Algier. And now it's going to be 2026, and I'm going to be watching Jordan Love be sniped by Tyler Algier. It just, man, if we watch this team lose games because of defense, because you have an offensive-minded head coach now, and you didn't improve what I thought was the suspect defense beyond two guys that you have as plus players, I think that you should fire the GM. Just right away, just move on. You made a bad choice.
Au revoir.
Yeah.
Okay. So you said, Jim, late second, early third would be where you'd be willing to, where you'd be willing to start looking at Jeremiah Love. Obviously not knowing his landing spots, looking at some best ball ADP, some very early leagues going off about pick 20 on average. Here's what we're going to do, Jim. I'm just going to give you Jeremiah Love versus player X, and you're going to say how many guys you're taking over him. We will start with Saquon Barkley or Jeremiah Love. Who are you drafting first?
I'm going Barkley. I think Lane Johnson will be healthy this year. That'll help him a little bit.
Jeremiah Love or Derrick Henry?
Derrick Henry, the man is not, he's going to defy time until he can't.
Jeremiah Love or Kenneth Walker?
Oh, my gosh. You know what? I got to go Kenneth Walker.
Jeremiah Love or Josh Jacobs?
Oh, you're killing me here. I love Josh Jacobs. I got to go Josh Jacobs, too.
Okay. Jeremiah Love or Breece Hall?
Oh, now you know what? Jagger brought up Aaron Glenn before. And one thing I couldn't stand about him is as soon as he came in last year, he's like, we're using a rotation of backs. Well, Braylon Allen got hurt. But Braylon Allen will be healthy this year. I am terrified. So of Breece Hall splitting work. So give me Jeremiah Love there.
Okay. So based on that analysis, Jim, I think we would call that deductive reasoning. That would make him about the RB 16 if we were doing the full rankings right now. So more so mid to late third round if you're taking him right in the Breece Hall range. Is that about the same for you, Jagger? Any of those names that I mentioned who you would take Love over? I'm going to guess no.
No. Yeah, I was about to say it's too risky, man. In Dynasty, you don't want to sell Jordan Love or Jeremiah Love, right now. I just don't think you're going to get the value. On the flip side, there is going to be a buy opportunity, Jeremiah Love, come week 4 in Dynasty, that everyone's going to get the panics, and they're like, this was going to be the guy that changes everything for me. It's game over. And this makes it officially one of the worst draft classes. It is the worst draft class I've ever scouted. Like for fantasy, for just regular NFL, for fantasy, it's just terrible. This is the worst one I've ever scouted. It's not good.
Quick interruption. Ian Rappaport is just letting us know at a time the Titans are sticking and picking. No trade at number 4. So we're waiting for the pick, but they are not trading it.
Okay. Carnell Tate, baby. This is great for the Titans. This is great. Or they're going to get offensive line. Honestly, the Titans should be thanking the Cardinals because they saved them from themselves. They're like, oh, cool. I can get any other position now because, a lot of people are upset. Like, you think Tajay Spears and Tony Pollard are fine? I'm not saying they're franchise guys, but I don't think that they're net negative players. And you can go and draft a positive player that's going to be expensive on a rookie contract and go get another running back later. It's the same thing we talked about the Cardinals.
Jagger May is a savant tonight. Jordan Schultz is reporting the number 4 pick for the Titans. Carnell Tate, receiver, Ohio State. Go ahead, guys.
Carnell Tate, baby. I love Wan'Dale Robinson as wide receiver too. Like this offense is officially sick. Like to me, Cam Ward, I'm drafting him as, I would say, a high upside QB2. He doesn't have that floor, but Brian Daboll knows how to cook up an offense. He just doesn't know how to be a head coach. And now we have a very good receiving core around there. I'm all in.
I had Jordan Tyson 30-1 to go number 4. Guys, I got smoke screened. I was putting together something for our site earlier today, and I initially went Tate, and I did some more reading, and I'm like, you know what? It seems like it might be Tyson. It is indeed Carnell Tate at number 4. I am not considering Calvin Ridley a part of the picture for the Titans at this
No.
point. Are you guys? I mean, I know he's technically on the roster. He turns 32 in December. He was MIA last season. I think this is Carnell Tate. I think it's Wan'Dale Robinson, and then some mixture of Io Manor and Jamari DK, which, look, when those guys are your 3 and 4, I don't mind that. When they're your 1 and 2 like they were last year, that's a problem.
Yep. There's no doubt. And when I love it how Jagger called the Carnell Tate pick, because when the Titans needed him, and Nick, I see your logic on wanting them to go with Jordan Tyson, but I think Tennessee, maybe organizationally, they understood we can't take a risky player. And the injury history on Tyson, it's risky. Tate is safe. And I think the Titans right now need a very good player who's perceived to be safer.
Yeah. Yeah. And with them getting Carnell Tate, I think that, again, Arizona Cardinals stepped on the landmine, and now every team by default is like, we got a couple of picks with leeway before someone steps on another one. Because right now I'm John Harbaugh. I'm super excited. I'm running up and I'm getting Arvell Reese. Dang. Yeah. Me too, Jeff. I hoped I was wrong. I
think you do bring up a really good point, Jagger, though, that like this is the final nail in the coffin as far as like everybody was already down on this draft class, and then you have the most exciting player in the draft class going to that situation in Arizona. Like what would have been realistically the ideal fantasy landing spot for him? Like how much better would Tennessee have been, for instance?
Immensely better. Because, Tajay Spears doesn't worry me. James Conner and Tyler Algier worry me.
Yeah.
And Benson.
Yeah, Tony Pollard was there too. But like Jagger said, I mean, Jeremiah Love was moving to the front of that line if he was there.
Washington would have been pretty nice. Rachaad White is someone now that, that's a huge win for fantasy that we're not talking about right now. Rachaad White is incredibly lucrative. He's going to be incredibly lucrative if you got him cheap, as he's been going in drafts. And then the New Orleans Saints, they don't need a guy now that they played Achane, but after that, it's really just the Giants and Titans and Washington that would have been the premium spots unless someone traded up. So,
hey guys, we're coming up on the 5 pick, and you know what? Earlier we were talking Caleb Downs. I think John Harbaugh is going to want him. Again, different player than Kyle Hamilton, like Jagger pointed out really well. But I think John Harbaugh understands having a chess piece at safety. Is there any chance the Giants go with Caleb Downs here?
I would say it's 50-50. Downs or Reese. Yeah.
I mean, I don't think the Giants thought Reese would be here. You know, I'm sure they prepared for it, of course. But
and you gentlemen were absolutely correct. Another report. Jordan Schultz is on it tonight. Props to Jordan Schultz. Number 5 pick, New York Giants. Yeah, you're right. Arvell Reese. So that is a great pick. Go ahead, guys.
Excellent coverage guy. And again, like his comp, Micah Parsons, for a lot of people, it's because he has excellent thump and heavy hands to consistently get pressure, but he does have that rangy off-ball ability because he just kind of slid over. They moved Sonny Styles from safety to linebacker. Then you can move Arvell Reese over. You would talk about chess pieces. I think he is the best defensive chess piece, and that's why he has that upside, because they can move him all around. And he doesn't give you much as far as ever going back to safety, but he definitely could do a lot of robber stuff. And I think he was the best player available in an easy slam dunk pick. And then again, Caleb Downs slides even further. I think this is a range where someone may trade up to get him if it were to happen.
And speaking of that, Ian Rappaport right now says sources, the Browns and the Chiefs are deep in talks on a trade to send Casey up to number 6 and Cleveland back to number 9. So again, Jagger May is just savant level tonight.
Yeah.
Are we sure this would be Caleb Downs, Jagger?
It'd have to be.
I think so too.
It would be that or Jordan Tyson. Those are the only two ones that I would see them trading up to get. You can get a decent edge rusher all the way down. So
we got the trade. I won't do the music for this one. This one breaks from Tom Pelissero. The Chiefs are on the clock at number 6. So as you guys said, is it Caleb Downs?
It'd make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Make a lot of sense. This is not a direct Trent McDuffie replacement, but this is an elite secondary guy. This is them reloading, and they still can get like cornerbacks incredibly deep. You can get someone like Brandon Sissy from South Carolina, cheap. Avion Terrell might fall back to them in the second round. So that's a lot of options there.
Good thing I didn't put money on my mock draft because I was done after pick 1.
Yeah.
I
This
know.
is one where I'm surprised we got to trade this early. Glad I came across this feed.
Oh, man, look at this thing. Whoever posted that, you're amazing. We appreciate you being here.
Thanks. We're early, and I hope I'm like giving it to you at least. Like I said, I've been pretty accurate so far, nothing crazy.
Yeah.
So.
Well, yeah, and as if I've been right, exactly. I've been like the yang, and you've been the yin all over. And I've been like all over, missing every pick. Oh, I got this trend wrong. Keep rolling, guys.
I'm gonna be regretting switching that Tate Tyson long shot for a while, boys. That's gonna be a tough one. But again, we now wait for the Kansas City Chiefs, who are on the clock.
Trade details are in. So the Browns get the 6th pick. The Browns trade a 6th pick. The Chiefs pick. They trade away 9, 74, and 148. So the Browns, a team that really needs to shore things up, 9 and 74. That was a smart trade.
So the Browns put them in position to get offensive linemen again. I expect them to get someone like there's Malagoa. I would personally, if Monroe Freeling's there, he's my number 1 offensive tackle. That's who I'm taking. But if not, you've got Francis Malagoa and Spencer Fano, who is very versatile, shorter arms. But even if you have to slide him to guard, I think he's going to be a solid player that they need to replace. And good on them. This is a competent Browns move, rare by them. You got to give them their props.
Ultra rare.
Right.
So Browns are another team that have 2 first-round picks, right? So now they have 9 and they have 24 as well by virtue of the Travis Hunter trade. What do they do at 24? We don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves. I don't know, Jagger, are you feeling a heat check prediction at 24?
It would be double dipping in offensive line, or they're going to get wide receiver. I would expect them. I like Casey Concepcion. He's one of my favorite wide receivers. The Browns seem like a bad spot for any wide receiver to go, but they need somebody there, and he fits what Todd Monken already did with Zay Flowers. So I wouldn't be surprised to see him go first round there if he does go. And really, offensive line, they can't get too many at this point. They had a complete turnover this offseason.
Jagger, the good news and the bad news. For once, I'm on the same page. I'm going to be right with you for once. I do like Concepcion going to the Browns. I think it's at pick 24, though. I think he might fall there. So, yeah. So, but if he does, it'd be great if I finally get one right. And listening to Jagger isn't really giving me a bad thing today.
Jim, I'm sorry I even have to ask you this, but how much does it matter fantasy-wise, whether it's Concepcion or another wide receiver, even if they don't go wide receiver at 24? The fact that Deshaun Watson is back in the mix for this starting job, is this something you are taking seriously? Does Watson versus Shadur dramatically impact how you view the other pieces in this offense for fantasy?
Here's what I'll say. The quarterback situation's a disaster in Cleveland. They did work on the line, right? Tackle Titus Howard came in. They brought back Tevin Jenkins, who, when he's healthy, is serviceable. They brought in a couple other interior linemen. I think Elgton Jenkins. If they draft a tackle, the short passing game can work. And I loved Concepcion there because it'll give the quarterback easy throws. And I think that's exactly what you want. So if they work that, I think Concepcion could be a PPR monster. Cleveland's still going to trail a lot of games. They're going to have to throw a lot. Jerry Jeudy can't catch anything but a cold. And unfortunately, Cedric Tillman is stuck up on a team that can't throw the ball deep consistently. So I do think you're going to get about wide receiver 40 in a PPR out of Concepcion.
Mm-hmm.
Little more news here. The Tom Pelissero, one of these reporters mentioning that they're going for a corner. The Chiefs are apparently looking at a corner. I can't find the exact report. Just read off of Twitter.
Delane would be
That's what they're
one
looking for.
Yeah.
That's apparently, but we not an official pick yet, but yes.
And what's unique about Mansour Delane, if he is the guy, is he's incredibly versatile. He played when he was at Virginia, he played a lot of safety, and then he slid over to cornerback at LSU. Very sticky, very rangy. He plays like a smaller Jalen Ramsey, where he doesn't quite have the hit stick, but the way that he can. What is it?
Right back in, but it's official. Jordan Schultz, the man on the scene. Number 6 pick, the Chiefs. Yes, Mansour Delane. Keep going, Jagger.
Yeah, let's keep on it. Like rangy, versatile, good length. That's what I put on the graphic on here. I think Caleb Downs would have been great, but if you like what you like, I think he fits closer to what Trent McDuffie did to him than what Caleb Downs did. So this is how you move on from an expensive player and then get a young one who can kind of just reload and develop. So very interesting slide from Caleb Downs. I wouldn't be surprised if we get another trade to go up and get him. So
my question to you, Jim, is who is going to take Delane between here and pick 9? Why did they feel like they needed to trade up?
So look, and we mentioned this earlier, both of their top corners are gone. And so
New Orleans.
I'm sorry. Say it about New Orleans again. I missed it.
Oh, New Orleans would have been the team that would have done it if it wasn't for them.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. Right. Which team would have done that? So yeah. All that said, I'm not going to even go further. That's a great call. That's a great call there. The Commanders are on the clock now. What are you guys thinking about this one?
Jordan Tyson.
I think it's got to be Tyson. Yeah. I think it was going to be Love and Tate in that order. Obviously, both off the board. I think they badly need wide receiver. I mean, do we consider? I mean, obviously they wouldn't take a running back here. Do we consider this backfield set? Are they going to be a Jadarian Price landing spot? Perhaps are they going to be a day 2 investing in the running back team? Can we go forth with Krosky Merritt and Rashad White? I mean, this is independent of the wide receiver conversation, but I think you have to go Jordan Tyson here.
Nick Whalen throwing the shade on Chris Rodriguez. I mean, I love. Now I know
I have to be pro Rodriguez now.
Yeah, I got a thing and
he's a Jag now.
He's a Jag.
But he's a Jag now. So yeah, they lose him. So you're right. So now they got Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt. You're probably right. They probably need another running back. I don't know, but they liked him, and maybe they're going to give him one more shot. Jagger, do you think they go the other route and pick up another running back, or do you think they shake things up?
I think they can build running back play in the aggregate because Jerome Ford went there as well. And to me, you don't need to reach when this is a team that has a lot of needs. They need, this is a very good secondary class. So go pick up a safety, because even we talk about Dylan Thieneman, Caleb Downs, some of the other guys that I think grade out as good first rounders is Emmanuel McNeil-Warren. If he would fall to the second round, that's someone that could slide right in. I like D'Angelo Pons a whole lot. That's someone else that could slide into this team into the second round. So just go get something that could play right away and not another addition to what's inevitably going to be a messy backfield if you're not going to get your guy, because we forget that Jaden Daniels is basically another running back there who's also an elite passer. So
is there any chance, because Dan Quinn coaches this team, that they end up going with Sonny Styles? Base defense in the NFL is 2 linebackers, and this is that movable chess piece. Somebody you could weaponize. You think Quinn is definitely going to be going that route? Trigger finger was just off. I've been getting ready for it to play, and I didn't play. Number 7 pick, Jordan Schultz on it again. Commanders, they did go Sonny Styles linebacker. Movable chess piece. Go ahead, fellas.
Yeah, so you said 9.99 relative athletic score. Converted safety. The coverage skills are obviously there because he was a safety, but he moves sideline to sideline, and he's good at converting that speed into power, so he has decent thump. And they don't need the Brian Bosworth tacklers anymore. Just, can you find the football? Can you be reliable on third down? This is the type of guy who is.
Hey, I got my second mock draft pick of the day right out of 7. Jagger's like 6 out of 7. I got my second one. I had Sonny Styles going there. Nobody wants to listen to me. Don't bet me today, but every other day we'll think about it differently.
Yeah.
I don't mind this
New Orleans. Yeah, I don't mind it either.
What do you guys think about New Orleans here?
Jordan Tyson, again.
Yeah.
I like it.
We're 3 for 3 on this one. I'm going to get this right because Jagger called it and Nick called it.
Not yet. I'm on. Like I could go cold. I could go good cold on here.
We're not going to bet that yet. I'm not going to be the cooler here. So here's the thing about Jordan Tyson. Mickey Loomis, GM of the Saints. He, over the years, if he has a player that he believes is physically the best in a position he wants, he will look past the injury concerns, but he will look at the athletic upside. So I believe all along this is a Mickey Loomis type pick. Go ahead, fellas.
I think it would be. I think it makes sense. I mean, this is another team where you have Olave, obviously, who I think we feel a lot different about now than we did heading into last season. Although I'm not sure I'm willing to just wash all of the concussion issues away. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But it's another one of those rosters, Jim, where beyond that top receiver, you're just getting into dudes. You're getting into random dudes. Devon Vele, Mason Tipton. I think we all picked up Bub Means at some point and probably got nothing out of him last season. Beyond that, there's really nobody of consequence. So I think it is a need. Obviously, the Saints have needs all over the place. But if they are of the belief that Tyler Shuck is the guy, which I assume internally they are, I think you start putting weapons around him.
Hey, off the subject, either Jordan Schultz took on a witchcraft course here, because as Jeff Erickson points up, we're a full pick ahead of the coverage. So if you're us, go bet your friends. Go tell your friends I'm going to bet on the next pick. And guess what? You're going to be making some money for the next 27 picks.
I will say with the Saints, I like Ruben Bain here. He's been the weirdest prospect, not just from an analytical standpoint, because he's been he's been incredibly productive. But on top of that, his measurables, like his arm length, we can directly correlate that to lack of production in the NFL. Thank you, Sam. Love you. I don't know what he is, because I feel like every day it flip-flops. It's the Michael Scott meme, snip, snap, snip, snap. Like, oh, this day it's the off the field thing. This day it's his arms. Hey, but here's a video of his incredible bend. He just has a lot of upside in production, and this is the range I feel a lot better, because if you remember the beginning of this draft cycle, a lot of people had him pegged as like a top 3 pick. So to get someone to replace Cam Jordan, I love Ruben Bain right here as well, if they wanted to go the
We are not letting Jagger May get colder. Stop that talk about the defensive player, because Jordan Schultz tells us the Saints have selected Jordan Tyson out of Arizona State, wide receiver. We are 3 for 3. We're ignoring that last pick you made, Jagger. We're going back to the first pick you made, which was the right pick. And guess what? My mock hit 2 in a row now.
2 in a row. You got it. You're right. I'm going to go with my first one and not my, hey, maybe. This is great for Olave. Does this hurt Olave for anybody anymore, or just make it feel good? Like, I just like the offense a lot better, not that there's someone pulling coverage.
This is important, everybody. We love Chris Olave, and I was heavily invested. He won me fantasy championship last year. But you need to understand, at the end of the season when he had those massive games, and I know you're going to laugh when I say this, Devon Vele got hurt. The Vele was the third man in the rotation with Juwan Johnson and Olave was just getting like 8-9 targets. When Vele went out, the targets at the 15 or 16 a game. Those were those massive games at the end. So Olave's a great player, but he's getting what he got when Rashid Shaheed was there, when Vele was there. It's 8-9 targets. You're still really good. But if you're drafting Olave on the finish to last season, Jordan Tyson is going to be right in that mix, and they're both can be fine. But just don't overpay for Olave.
Jim, how far does this move Bub Means down your board?
Oh my gosh! Oh, you mean the board, like the board I throw darts at? That one? I know you love that Bub Means. Yeah, no. Unfortunately, Bub Means. Hoping to make himself maybe the 52nd man on the roster.
This is suddenly a really fun offense, by the way, down in New Orleans. Like one of the most depressing teams I think we thought to watch last year. Ended up being more fun over the second half of the season, but the Rattler stretch was rough, and they had the worst running game in football for a good chunk of the season. All of a sudden, Travis Etienne, Jordan Tyson, Chris Olave, I'll even throw Juwan Johnson in there. I will ask you this though, Jagger, and there were some whispers about this. The Saints even addressed it coming into the draft, that they said, depending on what we do day 1 and day 2 specifically, that could have an impact on what we do with Alvin Kamara, what we do with Cameron Jordan. Now, I think selecting Jordan Tyson is good news initially for both of those guys, but do you think Kamara specifically is on this roster next year?
Why? Why? I just like,
I'm
there's
asking
no
why
point.
he wasn't traded last season.
Yeah, exactly. It just, why would you pay him that money? He doesn't seem to care about winning anymore. It really does. Some of the comments that he said, he's just like, if you trade me, I'm going to retire. And like, yeah, maybe that comes off as he's extremely loyal, but to me, it just feels like that dog ain't in him anymore. And that's showing up in his play. They already got a guy who does similar things, who's younger. Just kind of move on to the future and save you some cap. And they can finally be a real team with real cap room. I don't think I've ever seen them with cap room in my career.
Right.
I want to ask everybody a huge favor out there. We have a lot of people watching the show, and we hope you're enjoying the heck out of Draft Night, hanging out with us. If you like the show, please share it with others so others can find the stream. Tell them why you like it, because if you like it, we want to get this thing rolling to as many people as possible.
Well said. Well said. And as you can see there on the screen, we are running a draft special throughout the NFL draft. Will expire after the draft on Saturday. 15% off any RotoWire subscription. That gets you full access to everything on the site. So if you're a baseball guy, if you're midseason, you want to jump in, we got every sport over on RotoWire, not just our football coverage. Just use that code that you just saw there on the screen. 50% off through Saturday. All right, boys, we could reset a little bit now that we are through 8 picks. We are a little bit ahead of the telecast, so we're still waiting for the Saints pick to be announced on the broadcast, but we are now on to the Cleveland Browns at number 9. We are rolling through this a little bit faster than I thought. We might get through the top 10 in just under an hour because this did not start right at 7 o'clock Central. John McKechnie is going to be stopping by. He, of course, from RotoWire, our best ball guru. Got a lot of questions for him as far as what we've seen thus far. Are we pretty set on offensive line here, Jagger, for the Cleveland Browns?
Yeah, I think it's got to be. And again, basically nothing's been taken at all. They've got their pick of their guy. Even if they want, I think the safest offensive line is Vega Ione. If they would take him here, I wouldn't even be mad at it because they just got a safe dude who can ball out right away. But you need to replace what was once like the strength of your team, which is the trenches. They still have that on defense. They need that on offense.
Yeah, Titus Howard they picked up as a good right tackle, but like you're saying, Jagger, the left tackle position is really important with whatever they're going to develop at quarterback. And DeJuan Jones, he's huge. He looked good his first couple games as a rookie. He's not good. He's not good at all, and he's injured all the time. This is a foundational pick the Browns have to have. And the biggest winner if they do this, Quinshon Judkins. Again, Judkins had nowhere to run last year. He was seeing so many bodies up front in a line that couldn't block. This would be beautiful for Judkins, and Judkins will be a steal of fantasy drafts if they can add another piece at his line.
RB22 in the early ADP I'm looking at. He's going after Cam Scatterboo. I don't know if I love that. I don't think I'll be having a whole lot of Cam Scatterboo this season. Pick 53 on average, Jagger. Does that sound about right to you for Judkins?
Yeah, I would take him higher if they go. It's really their quarterback that's the big problem there. And Todd Monken obviously runs a little bit different offense than Kevin Stefanski did, but people are still they really believe in Scatterboo that much. It's not that I don't think he's good or anything, but that injury was gnarly, and I don't think that I just don't think that he was that great to be too excited about him being the guy, So
I agree. I think Scatterboo is more of a personality than he is a long-term RB1 for the Giants. Like, is that fair to say? And, obviously if they had taken Jeremiah Love, that would have hammered that home.
Our friend Jordan Schultz calls it again. The number 9 pick is in. The Cleveland Browns, Utah offensive tackle Spencer Fano. We all knew they were going with a tackle here. We cashed in again. Maybe the name wasn't right, but we got it right.
Yeah. To be fair, I threw out both names, so I'm still gonna take this one.
I love it.
Now on the clock, it's the Bengals.
Giants.
The Giants. I forgot they just traded that. The Giants are on the clock. Here's where just get Caleb Downs, man.
I think so too, man.
Just get Caleb Downs. Makes no sense to let him fall any further.
I think this is a dream scenario for the Giants.
Yes. You think the medicals are a problem for him falling this far?
It has to be part of the equation. I don't know. I mean, I don't think we've seen anything shocking necessarily. Like I thought the Chiefs going up to 6 would be for downs. That's what I would do if I were the Chiefs. But full disclosure, I do not run, and I'm not qualified to run an NFL front office. But we knew the Browns weren't going to take him. I don't think there was really any speculation that New Orleans would be that team. I think the Giants have 5 with Reese on the board. You just have to take him there. And look, if they can get both of the Ohio State guys at 5 and 10, again, I think that's a huge win for the Giants.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? Think about the Giants right now. Abdul Carter last year, and I know there were some things that him with the coaching staff, but he's going to be great. And then they come in the 5th pick and they bring in Arvell Reese. Could you imagine if they went corner here? And imagine good luck. How long do you have to cover? I love the downs call here too, the versatility they'll have on defense. But think about that. 2 potential ace pass rushers. And if they brought in a stud corner, that would be fun.
Yes, slam dunk. To me, Jordan Harbaugh, I would just be excited about the defense I could put together right off the bat. Restivo, I bet 6 wide receivers.
I don't think you're cooked yet. I think it's the end of round 1 where this is either going to be shot or where it's going to come home. I think we're right on pace so far.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. We all, I think, predicted 2 in the first 10 picks. So we're right on track. So the bet holds.
Yeah.
Where are the next most obvious receiver spots for you, Jagger?
The most obvious ones.
Could we see Miami at 11?
Yeah, I was about to say Miami. If Mekhi Lemon, it'd be there. The Jets, right, I think, is another one.
Like the
Baltimore.
Rams at 13.
Yeah, Baltimore is not a no. The Rams are not a no. The Patriots still not a no. The AJ Brown trade has not happened yet.
Right.
That's not real. So San Francisco, I think, is underrated to get someone like Omar Cooper. I love there for San Francisco, even though they got Mike Evans. I wouldn't be surprised if they got someone else. So Philadelphia, they're back in the market.
Oh yeah.
So
I think you're in good shape
here. I think you're in good shape on the over 5.5. Can we completely rule out Carolina? Would they dare go 3 receivers in the first round in 3 years?
I like Sadiq better, but I don't hate it if they got wide receiver, to be honest. So that's either or.
Yeah, I don't mock them with, as if I'm getting all my mock picks right, I don't mock them with a wide receiver. But after they spent high on McMillan last year, you really wonder if they double down with 2 first-round receivers. But again, it's not out of the realm. But I think they love Jalen Coker. I know he's a big slot and he was hurt last year, but it's a really good number 2 type for them. So we'll see, right? We'll see how that one shakes out.
And that makes Leggett better because he is like the wide receiver 3 who's going to pop off, can get you some good yak. But him being what everyone tries to recreate in the algorithm, AJ Brown, that was never real. So
we're waiting on the Giants at 10. Rappaport just tweeted that the Giants are sticking and picking. I would imagine some calls were coming in, specifically with Caleb Downs on the board. But we will wait until Jim Coventry hits the magic button for the pick to be in. Look, I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I'm a college offensive line expert by any means. I know you are, Jagger. I know you are as well, Jim. Jagger, what do we need to know about Spencer Fano?
It's the short arms are my only concern. He was my number 1 offensive tackle until those measurements came out, and we just have that strong data on there. But beyond Monroe Freeling, he's the guy that I would be taking because he's what I call a baller. Even if he's not going to be playing left tackle, I'd like him as a good right tackle, particularly if you have a run-first offense, and especially these zone schemes that we see, like the Shanahan, Mike McDaniel offense. He's perfect because not only did he play offensive tackle, he got some burn at guard. He got some burn at center. The versatility is there. He only has that one, albeit critical flaw with the arm length. Very, very much into Spencer Fano. So
T-Rex.
T-Rex.
The little T-Rex going there.
And Will Campbell's catching a lot of strays for that, but people forget that he had a good season. He just had a bad game in the worst game to have it in. So
no, there's no doubt. And you're saying this is the safest offensive lineman in the class. The arms are an issue, but in terms of the mechanics in the base, he's safe. But Jagger's concerns are completely grounded here. I want to continue on saying everybody who shouted the show out, thank you. We have had a big jump in viewership. We want people to see the show. We're having fun here tonight. It's a party in the RotoWire house, and we got 3 of us just having a good time and hopefully getting you some good intel.
Yeah, put in that code DRAFT50, 50% off any of our subscription plans at RotoWire, running that all the way through Saturday night. I don't know if we're pulling that at midnight. I don't know if we're pulling it, the moment Mr. Irrelevant is announced, but all the way through the draft on Saturday. Put in that code DRAFT50 at RotoWire.com. Get you 50.
I had to wait till Nick got that promo up, but Jordan Schultz gives us a 10th pick in the draft. New York Giants. They go with Miami offensive tackle Francis Mauigoa.
Oh, wow. That's my first big wrong one. I didn't really expect that so early. I'm not that into Mauigoa, but he is a good right tackle and a good run blocker. His feet are just a little slow for me. That's what it is as far as a pass blocker. So I don't really see him as a true anchoring offensive tackle that is going to protect the blind side, but the versatility's there. So if you want to get better in the trenches, this was a solid pick. I'm also surprised that they didn't just trade back to do this as well.
Yeah.
So.
This is one where my mock was wrong, but it kind of wasn't. I had the Giants going offensive tackle, but I had them taking, obviously, Fano, but Fano went the pick before. So the idea was right. Just at this point, when you get in the mock, it's almost like the dominoes, right? They start spinning out of control because you picked the player, but then he got taken a little before. But I think we were kind of on this one too. The Giants need a tackle, but you guys are right. They may have been able to trade back in this class, but the Giants got to be feeling really, really good right now. We said earlier, Abdul Carter last year. This year, you bring in Arvell Reese. Now you bring in a tackle, and hopefully this isn't like one of the busts they've had in recent years. But exciting times in New York.
Mm-hmm.
So we're through the top 10 with no Caleb Downs, fellas.
Wow.
Is he going 11 to Miami? Are the Dolphins fielding calls on that pick? I would imagine there's no way Dallas is passing on him at 12 if he makes it there.
Jerry Jones wouldn't pass up the opportunity to look smart. So right.
Oh my gosh. Let's run Micah Parsons out of town. And you know what? Let's tick off George Pickens while we're at it as well.
Yeah. Yeah. This is his one opportunity to say, see, this was my plan. Look at what I've done. And okay. Yes, Lauren, you should do a rip off a best ball draft. This is the time to get in on these discrepancies right now. Yeah.
If you're Miami, Jim, you have another pick later. You have needs everywhere. This is probably the most stripped down roster in the NFL. It's HN and everybody else. Are you doing everything you can to auction this pick off to the highest bidder? Does that make the most sense if you're the Dolphins?
100%. Yes. If you can sell this pick, you accumulate picks. This team is in clear reset mode. But if they don't get a taker, I don't know how they do not go wide receiver. I made my bad joke earlier. Five Guys restaurant sponsors their room. They need somebody. And here's the thing. Miami right now, they brought in Malik Willis for 3 years. I know it's only $23 million a year. It's not big money, but they have Devon Achane back there. They're going to be 9-man fronts because they have no receivers. Yes. But if they could go receiver, now all of a sudden we're talking a little bit here. So we'll see what they do. But I agree, trading back because there's plenty of good receivers in this first round, and Receiver could cash his bet anyway, over 6 receivers in the first round. But that said, this is a trade back spot if they could pull it off.
Agreed, 1,000%. This is where I think we slow down because a lot of these teams want to get into a tier of players because, again, I want to see the run on the pass rushers. I like Cassius Howell a lot, depending on what type of team wants him. I like him a lot for the Eagles, but the Eagles really open themselves up to go in a lot of different directions. Zion Young is my dark horse that I don't think a lot of people are talking enough about. I'll keep bringing him up as well. Akeem Mesidor, he's 1,000 years old, but he was productive.
Oldest player in NFL history.
Yeah, he's incredibly old, man. Like, he's the Brandon Whedon of defense, I feel like. But
I'm sorry, quick interruption. Poor Adam Schefter. They're reporting the 9th pick in the draft. We're already hopping, getting ready for number 11, and I don't get it here. We're having fun here for sure. Go right ahead.
We're going to go to bed early if we keep it up.
Yeah,
Man.
right. I love the pace that we're at here right now.
Yeah, exactly.
So you were talking about Achane a little bit, Coventry, and I've been thinking about this a lot lately. I don't know that I'm willing to pay a mid to late first round price for Achane. Absolutely love the player. I don't know that I've hated a situation more for a player that I love than this. Like there are some of the obvious ones over the years where it's like occasionally the Browns will have a cool player and you're like, I just can't do it. But the way Miami has intentionally stripped down this roster, I think it's gonna make life very difficult on Malik Willis, going from one of the most stable situations in Green Bay all of a sudden to whatever's happening in Miami, even if there is some familiarity there with the coaching staff and with the front office. I was trying to think today, like how many examples are there of a running back on like what could be the worst team in the league? I'm not just talking like an okay team, like a 6-7 win team. Like the Dolphins could be a 2 or 3 win team. How often does the running back for maybe the lowest scoring team in the NFL, how often does that guy end up as a top 5 to 7 fantasy option? It just doesn't happen very often. Maybe Achane last year is the best example, but the Dolphins roster was better last year than it is right now on paper.
Ask
Even
Jonathan
when
Taylor.
Yeah, right, Jagger. And I'm gonna just get you on that point in a second. Jonathan Taylor, while Daniel Jones was upright, averaged 5.5 yards a carry. In the 4 games when Daniel Jones was out, 3.0. He lost 2.5 yards a carry. Jagger, I know you're going to talk about this. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, it's not even just that. Look at before Daniel Jones was even there, the seasons that we've had there, the Anthony Richardson years. Like running back, I always say this in fantasy, in betting, anything, they are in the least control of their destiny. You need to be drafting systems, offensive linemen, and really quarterbacks with running back as much as a running back. I'm not saying that skill doesn't matter, but it certainly gets hindered by incompetent coaching, poor offensive line play, and no one succeeds when you don't have a quarterback at the end of the day.
Interruption. We have a trade, but no pick in yet. So according to Field Yates, the Cowboys have traded up to number 11 to pick the Dolphins. So they moved up 1 pick. So apparently Dallas thought whoever Miami was going to take was the same player they wanted. Does that mean it's Caleb Downs?
I think it is.
I think so.
It is.
I mean, this is like 4 picks in a row now where I've said, yeah, it's got to be Caleb Downs, and I've gone 0 for 4. So take that with a grain of salt. I think so. I think so. I don't know who else you're making a point. Like they're not trading up for Mekhi Lemon, are they?
That's a good question. Can't see it.
What would that mean for Pickens then? You're going to trade someone that nobody wants because of his attitude? Like that's
I think there'd be takers.
That's true.
Dallas better not get rid of George Pickens. I mean, after the Micah Parsons things last year, George Pickens, he was my top receiver coming out of that. I mean, there was probably one superstar I had ahead of him, but other than that, it was like Pickens after that. I just didn't know what he'd work out like in terms of his attitude, but we saw it last year. If you put him with a quarterback that can just launch the ball, the catches he makes are ridiculous. The physicality after the catch. Dallas better not screw this one up. But yeah, I know it's a big luxury. You got CeeDee Lamb. Assuming you have Pickens, it's a hard sell to think Dallas is at the point where they would add a receiver.
Yeah, they have so many needs on defense, and they need to, again, when your strength is your offensive line, you need to continue to build around that because it makes everything else that you do a lot easier.
I think we got this one too. Jordan Schultz with the call, number 11 pick. The Dallas Cowboys traded up to the Miami Dolphins, acquired safety Caleb Downs.
Jerry Jones has done it again, boys. He's done it again. This is the Nico Harrison. They're starting to see the vision. Everything's working out. He knew Caleb Downs would be there at 11. Do we have compensation on that trade yet, Jim? Have you seen anything?
Yes. Yeah, I'm going to bring it up right now. As we speak. Oh, come on now. Here we go. The Dolphins get 177 and 180. So Dallas only gave up 2 late picks. Those are probably 6th-round picks. They probably give a couple 6th to move up 1 spot. So for Miami, fine. Dart throws, get players, they could try out, maybe do something. This was a very, very low-cost move.
I bet they tried to squeeze him. They called him up. They're like, Jerry, we know you. We know what you're going to do. We're going to take him if you don't give us something. And they got free picks out of Jerry Jones. Great for Jerry to get a great player, but good on the Dolphins for getting free money, even though it's a couple of cents. They need it.
I think
right?
that's an underwhelming return at first glance. I think you're exactly right, Jagger. I think they're like, look, if we can get anything, why not? If we don't feel that strongly about it, does that also tell us, Jim, that there was not a bidding war going on for this pick? Because I would think Miami could have done better if they had 4 teams calling trying to move up for Downs.
Somebody would have had to have had a very clear number one grade of the remaining players for it to be Caleb Downs. But here's the thing. The further you got to move to get to that pick, the more you have to give up. So I think Dallas had the advantage because they knew you wouldn't have to give much. Whereas, for instance, let's say a team like the Vikings wanted to move up. Moving up 7 picks, now all of a sudden, That's another story. You're paying a second rounder. You're paying a lot more. So I think the draft chart really favored Dallas here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Another thing that I kind of want to bring up real quick is I put generational in quotations on purpose on this graphic here for Caleb Downs because we overuse that. To be honest, I will say that Nick Amenwari, Derwin James, and Kyle Hamilton were better prospects than Caleb Downs were just because of what they offer you as pass rushers and in the run game. I'll just go ahead and say it. Does that not mean that Caleb Downs isn't an elite player in all the things that the coaching staff says? No, that doesn't mean that that's not true. In fact, I think he is a smart processor. Those things are as well, but we overuse that generational term. And the NFL, letting him fall to 11, I think proves that.
So Dolphins now on the clock after making that swap. Cowboys pick yet to be announced on the telecast. Again, that will be Caleb Downs, and then that'll put Miami on the clock at 12. Let's pause for a moment, guys, and just take a look back at what we've seen so far. So Mendoza, Bailey, Love, Tate, Reese, Delane, Styles, Tyson, Fano, Mayaga, and now Caleb Downs at 11. Jagger, your favorite pick and your least favorite pick so far, not for fantasy, just in terms of what these teams have done for themselves.
Least favorite pick is easy. It's the Jeremiah Love pick. I just don't like that from a team building standpoint. I feel like you could have just waited on running back for a different draft class. This has nothing to do with the overall skill for Love. My favorite pick that we've gotten so far is, I hate to say the David Bailey one because it's a good spot, but it's easy. But to be honest, I'll go boring here. I love what the Giants got in getting Sonny Styles as their guy here. The
Commanders got him. The Commanders got Sonny Styles.
I'm sorry, the Commanders got Sonny Styles because of the Dan Quinn pick. You're right. Because they have stars on offense with Jaden Daniels. Now Dan Quinn gets his guy on defense that they didn't have before. So and they didn't overdraft him as well, because to me that's a tier break right there at that 5 spot. They didn't have to trade up in to get him. They just stayed put, and now I think they got a clear stud that is versatile. So
Commanders do not have a second round pick, by the way, by virtue of the Tunsil trade. They also don't have a 4th. So they have their 1st, which they've already made. They have their 3rd. They have a 5th. They have an extra 6th from San Francisco, and then their own 7th. This is still a team to me that needs help at wide receiver. They need help all over the place, right? They're in this weird spot where you have the young quarterback in place. You have almost nothing else to grow with him. Apologies to Terry McLaurin, who is older than you probably think he is. It was the oldest roster in the NFL a year ago. It's hard to fault them for taking Sonny Styles. I think it's a totally fine pick. I think it's best player available. And again, it is a need because they have needs everywhere. Can they go into next season, Jim, with Luke McCaffrey, Traylon Burks, and De'Ami Brown as the secondary receivers? And I guess now Chigga at tight end. I don't know if that moves the needle for you, but what else can they do?
It's a problem right now. And I don't know how they're going to address it because there's really nothing left in the free agent market to deal with that. You did mention Chigga, and I know fantasy managers yeah, whatever. We've heard this story time and again. Chigga is extremely talented. He has been on some dysfunctional Tennessee teams over the years, and they have not used him. When they get him the ball, he can produce. He can move. He can play outside. He can move into the slot. We have seen it time and again. There are times when you see these opportunities where it just works out swimmingly. I'm looking at a post. So Jagger, take away here. I'm looking at a change here. I'm going to say Jay Glazer is reporting. I got to cut into this. It's important. Mm-hmm. He reports the Rams are drafting Ty Simpson with the 13th pick. Sean McVay actually told Matthew Stafford today of their decision and made it clear it's for whenever Stafford decides to move on. So right now, that's a Jay Glazer report. We trust Jay Glazer, but it's not an official pick, so I won't do the music.
Yeah, this makes sense. This is your only opportunity that you can get a quarterback that, and is he the best prospect ever? No, but it's someone that you could at least sit behind Stafford and develop, and you're never going to be able, like you're hoping you're never going to be drafting this high again. And this is just because they traded for this pick, so they didn't even earn it.
So we're getting this from Glazer before the Dolphins pick is even announced. So I think we can rule out Ty Simpson for the Dolphins at 12. It's funny. We had Jay Glazer on Prop Points, our recent show at RotoWire earlier this week, and I specifically asked him what's going on with the Rams. There's a lot of smoke around this pick. Everybody's saying receiver. There seems to be kind of mixed signals overall, and he cut me off and said, "I can't talk about it. I can't talk about it." And it was almost suspicious to the point of like, it wasn't like I don't have information. It was I have information, but I'm not allowed to say it yet. He kind of felt like something might be brewing for the Rams. Jagger, you've evaluated a ton of quarterbacks over the last several drafts. Does this make sense for the Rams as far as upside with Ty Simpson? Like, it's one thing to have the opportunity to take that first round quarterback. Is this the right class to do it? Are there other classes coming where you could get an equal talent, say in the second round?
There is another class with a lot more talent, but it's just not going to be at the second round. If there's more talent, it's just going to be at the top of the draft. It's not going to be there pushing guys down at the second. That's what I said. It's their only opportunity to get a quarterback even remotely top 15 because they have such a good roster built around there. And this is a type of dude that does have the upside. And granted, a big thing is he doesn't have a lot of career starts, but he played injured. But before that injury, he was one of the best quarterbacks in football. He gave you everything. He gave you mobility. He played on time and was accurate. So this is a slam dunk. And in Dynasty, I see long term, he might be worth more than Fernando Mendoza because of that landing spot, even though it might not be as worthwhile in the short term.
So this is a plus for Devontae Adams, Jim. I don't think Puka Nakua's status to me was going to be impacted all that much if they did go wide receiver. Rams were fairly heavily favored to take a wide receiver with this pick. So that, of course, leaves potentially Mekhi Lemon, who, by the way, could go to the Dolphins at 12. We're still not even sure on that pick. We're already getting ahead of ourselves a little bit here. But your level of confidence right now, Jim, in Devontae Adams. I did a video a couple weeks ago for our YouTube channel. Number one player I'm not drafting right now is Devontae Adams, which kills me because he might be my favorite receiver of all time. I'm just not investing in a 34-year-old. I'm not doing it.
I go back and forth, and the main problem is that in each of the last 2 years, he had a hamstring injury. First, I thought the one 2 years ago was because he wanted to get out of Las Vegas, but I think it was a legitimate hamstring injury. And then he got another one last year. And with age, I talk about age and injury recovery all the time, and it does not favor older players. The injuries pile up. And so that's my concern. Now, the Rams, they are going all in, hoping Adams can make it through the season. I didn't think they would draft a receiver here. I thought they would go in with Puka and Adams and their three tight ends and hope it worked for the best. But it is a concern because the durability is a problem. I'll say this. When Devontae Adams was healthy, he was great. And remember, the beginning of the season, do not hold that against Devontae Adams. I said this. Remember, Matthew Stafford missed the entire training camp last year with a back issue. And I told you that the chemistry between him and Adams would not be there right away. When that chemistry got there, in the red zone especially, it was insane. And then Adams got hurt late. And so that was a problem. But again, betting on him so Nick, you're right. Because if you're going to spend a third, fourth-ish round pick on an aging player with injury concerns, that's a real dicey proposition.
Yeah, I ran the numbers on that, Jim, last year because I was having the exact same conversation about Mike Evans, and it's bleak. Like there are a handful of guys who made it work, who have been top 10 to 15 fantasy options, in year 11, year 12, whatever it'll be for Devontae Adams. The list is extremely, extremely thin. So as much as I love Devontae, and Jim, the touchdown depends for Devontae Adams.
Trying to get picking, but the prop promo kept showing up. The Dolphins, their new GM, John Eric Sullivan, Jeff Hafley made their first pick together. Alabama offensive tackle, Caden Proctor.
I actually don't even have a graphic made yet. I will get on it for him right now. But I said on Twitter that if Caden Proctor went top 10, that I would order a Filet-O-Fish and eat it on the live stream to ruin my weekend on camera. I just think this is a bad pick, man. I see this every year where these guys chase upside, but he gave up some of the most pressure out of all of these offensive tackles. Yes, he's a good mover. Yes, he is young, but you are drafting someone who needs development, and you are a brand new coaching staff, and Monroe Freeling is on the board. Why don't you get someone who is already polished? This doesn't make a lot of sense to me, and they're saving a lot of teams from themselves. So congrats, Miami.
We got John McKechnie beating down our door to come join the stream, guys. Our best ball expert. Can we let him in? Are we clear to add John?
Yeah.
Oh, there we go.
Welcome.
Knock knock. How we doing, guys?
What's
We're
up,
doing
man?
Good.
Did we lose Jim?
I'm Jim
Is
now.
he coming with us?
I'm the Jim now.
What's going on, dude?
Oh man, I mean, we're off to a roaring start here. This is awesome so far. You know, like I had this tweet in my drafts earlier this week where it's like I didn't want to believe the Jeremiah Love to the Cardinals thing for a number of reasons. I'm like, I'm just going to go ahead and not believe that the Cardinals are doing this. And they did it. They did it. So what was y'all's like instant reaction? Catch me up on the give me a little vibe check here on the fantasy impact of Love and Tate and Tyson and all that.
Fantasy impact of Love was bad. It was bad. If I had to describe it in one word, the vibes were low when that pick was made. I'm a lot more optimistic about the wide receivers. I don't think we saw anything too wild there. You know, I'm not surprised that the Titans took a receiver at 4. I thought it might be Tyson, but ultimately fine with Tate going there. But I think it was an 0 for 3 as far as approving what the Cardinals did at 3. What about you? What do you make of that landing spot?
Yeah, it's tough. And I feel for old Tyler Algier. You know, it feels like his destiny is just to be the guy that annoys fantasy players because he's taking carries away from like the really high draft pick. You know, that was the case always when he was in Atlanta behind Bijan Robinson, and now, you know, more of the same here out in Arizona with Jeremiah Love being in the mix. You know, I think all of a sudden the Cardinals have this good backfield, but I mean, they threw it with just reckless abandon last year, and you know, they still don't have their franchise quarterback. You know, they are currently set up to just kind of run it back as far as just being this really pass happy offense. Obviously, their selection of Tate signals that they're going to, or of Love, they're signaling that they're going to try to go in a different direction, be a little bit more balanced. But you know, I think this means, you know, the Cardinals could very well be lively to trade back up into the end of the first round and grab someone like a Ty Simpson to kind of kickstart, you know, their next quarterback here too.
I don't fully understand it from a Cardinals standpoint, but I don't know if you saw, by the way, John, Jay Glazer's reporting that the Rams are going to take Simpson at 13.
Well, I did not see that.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. You know, that obviously some Stetson Bennett erasure. Obviously, I thought that he would have been the guy for the future, but
stock down.
Stock way down for old Steady. But you know, looking ahead, I guess this is a signal that this is probably the last ride for Matthew Stafford. But you know, in the meantime, this keeps things really nice as far as, you know, Puka. I don't think he would have been affected if they had taken Mekhi Lemon whatsoever. But you know, I think that, you know, you're talking about from the best ball perspective, you know, where do you find Devontae Adams as like a late 3rd, early 4th round guy? That largely becomes unaffected with the Rams taking a quarterback here. You know, obviously, you know, we're gonna be sitting there with those two as the top guys, and I think you're also going to be looking at, you know, those tight ends also as their values remain the same. If you've been taking shots on Colby Parkinson or Ferguson there at the end of your drafts, you're feeling okay about it right now.
So we were talking about the merits of the Rams making this pick at this time. I think they're going to get a ton of praise for it, partially because they're the Rams. You know, anytime a team makes a forward-thinking move like this, you know, it's an obvious he'll sit next year. I don't know, maybe Stafford comes back in 2027 and it's the Jordan Love type of plan for the Rams. Is there a flip side to this where we look back in 2026, the Rams, let's say, lose in the NFC Championship game, and we say, man, they could have used another piece. Because I will tell you, as I stream here from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, that conversation was had when the Green Bay Packers took Jordan Love, were in contention and came up short. And if I remember correctly, I think that was the T. Higgins draft.
You're right. Yeah, that would have been 2020. So, yeah, it's like, the Rams have obviously done a really great job of adjusting on the fly in the post-Jared Goff era. Obviously, they've won a Super Bowl since then with Matthew Stafford, everything like that. And they've been that team that sort of, you kind of wonder, like, do they even care about the draft? And then a couple of years ago, it's like, oh, they're going to use their draft picks, and they worked out, really well with Verse and Fisk and everything, just kind of rebuilding their defense. What do we got here?
You guys hear me or no?
Yes.
All right, good. I can talk then. That's cool. Ty Simpson did get drafted by the Rams. So as we were talking about the heir apparent to Matthew Stafford, we read earlier a report from Jay Glazer that said that Stafford was told ahead of time, this is not pushing him out the door. Whenever Stafford is ready to leave, Simpson is the heir apparent. They'll have him for 4 years with an option for a team.
There we have it. Jim Coventry been on the pick announcements throughout the stream. As we mentioned, Jay Glazer broke this even before the Dolphins pick had been announced, that Ty Simpson would be going 13 to the LA Rams. So pick is official. It's out there. As we were just talking about, John, I totally get why the Rams did this. I also think there's a world in which maybe they do regret not fully pushing the chips in the short term. But if Ty Simpson becomes the player they think he can become, if it is a Jordan Love type of handoff situation, then this is going to look like a stroke of genius by the LA Rams. Let me ask you this, John. So we had this conversation with Jagger earlier. His least favorite pick so far, Jeremiah Love. That's a layup. You can't say Jeremiah Love. What is the pick that has you scratching your head the most so far?
Jordan Schultz is reporting with the 14th pick in the NFL draft. John McKechnie's Baltimore Ravens select Penn State guard Oliveira Ione. I kind of had him going there, so I got another one of my mock right. Let's go ahead, guys.
That's great news for me. If you watched the Ravens at all last year, you know that the interior of their offensive line was a disaster, and you use this pick. Guard is obviously something that can oftentimes fall into the middle part of the first round, even if you're looking at the top end of those particular prospects. And I think Vega really checks all those boxes. He's a plug and play guy you can put right there at right or left guard, depending on how Emory Jones is able to develop, the year 2 guy out of LSU. But either way, I think that this couldn't have gone much better for the Ravens. I think that they needed to kind of get back to basics with this draft. There wasn't a lot of room for a lot of sizzle in this draft. I think they really kind of needed to reconstruct those trenches, and starting off with the plug and play guard, I think was the right way to go.
Well, you are a Ravens fan. Sounds like you're happy with the pick, John. If they did not go offensive line, who was on your wish list? Like if they were going to go with a quote unquote flashier pick, who would have been next up for you?
I suppose it would have been Ruben Bain, because I'm still worried about the defensive line, but even still, I was pretty fixated on the offensive line, and with Spencer Fano going off the board, I was just kind of like holding my breath here for how the rest of the offensive line picks would kind of fall down the board here all the way to 14. But I had been pretty much of the opinion, or put another way, the way that other mocks had projected the Ravens out, it was not really my flavor. Like, I love Kenyon Sadiq, the player, would not have loved that pick at 14, or if Jordan Tyson were to fall there, Mekhi Lemon were to fall there, I still don't think that would have been the right use of that pick. The Ravens are in win now mode, and they need an offensive line that can actually support Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry, and all those guys. So offensive line was the way to go. I think they made the smart play here.
I'm curious how much weight all the off the field stuff held for Ruben Bain, but I'm going to be honest. I'm one of the I've been one of the lowest on my big board. For Ruben Bain, he was number 18 ranked for me, and I took a lot of heat for that because a lot of it is his leverage at the point of attack. He gives up a lot, stands straight up, and that shows up quite often. And all of us like, well, he's productive. That a lot of that comes to strength of schedule as well. A lot of people hate that, and the stats are easier to look at. I'm curious, and basically what I'm saying is I'm just curious what the NFL saw. Is it more the off the field? Is it more the tape? Or maybe it's all of it? Because the bend was against tackle dummies. A lot of that wasn't always on the tape.
Yeah, I mean, everyone, when you talk about Ruben Bain, where does the conversation start? It starts with the good film at Miami versus, well, he's got short arms. And like the short arms discussion, we don't have to go too far back in the draft annals to remember, everyone talking about Will Campbell that way on the offensive side last year. And I think you do make some really good points about just, how does this project it? You're basically in outlier, unprecedented territory as far as Bain being a huge success at the next level, because those arms, like there just haven't been that many players with those measurables that have had huge success in the NFL. So I think that's a totally fair point. But, I was just trying to think of position of need for this Baltimore team. And, their defensive line was also one that was getting less than no push a year ago. So.
And I'm not even judging the Bain thing because, even that was just me. I'm just a guy where I was just like, I'm still mocking Bain top 10, because even I'm surprised of some of the fallers that we've had here because it's just tons of pass rushers now because Cassius Howell's still available, a lot of Zion Young as well. So very interesting.
So, John, you're the best ball guru for us at RotoWire. Let's back up to the Jeremiah Love pick at 3. So, I guess, first of all, tell us what you've been seeing in terms of where he's going in best ball, where you've been taking him, where you're willing not, where you're kind of drawing the line as far as, all right, this is as high as I will go on Jeremiah Love. And how do you think that changes now that we know the landing spot?
Well, he had been someone that it's pretty variable. I mean, a lot of running backs go in the second round, and Love had kind of been in that cluster. Now I think he's at the tail end of it, like as opposed to being somewhere where like Devin Achane or Amarian Hampton are going at the front end of the second round. I think you're lumping him more so in with like Chase Brown and maybe Derrick Henry at the end of the second round, as far as if you're looking for running back at that particular point of the draft. So I think this definitely hurts a little bit. I think, you can also look at things where it's like, the Cardinals did spend the third overall pick on him. They're going to use him, and they're going to use him a lot. But they also gave Tyler Algier a decent chunk of change. So, there is going to be kind of a frustrating committee here. And I do kind of view Jeremiah Love as someone that I'm not going to be going all in on, even if there is, an expected slide in his ADP, dropping down from 17 or 16 down to the early 20s. Even with that in mind, I'm going to be a little bit hard pressed to be like excitedly clicking on Jeremiah Love as my second round pick.
Guys, I'm going to step in for a second here. The Ty Simpson move, there's a real question that's bothering me about this. The Rams are in a Super Bowl window right now, and they want a quarterback of the future. Completely makes sense. But can they afford that? Are they that much? Do they think they're better than Seattle this year? Maybe Seattle lost some people. But to win this thing, do they not need a contributor? I know they got 2 cornerbacks. Great. They could have taken another tackle. They could have done that. They could have gone with an impact, a safety. I just think it was an arrogant pick. I know the future they got to think about. But look, they went all in to win a Super Bowl in 2021, and it worked. They were like an inch away of being the favorite for this year. What are your thoughts on this one?
I'm with it. I'll give John the floor on this one first, though.
I kind of liked what Jim said here, because the Rams were so close that they are in the win now, and this is very much a win in the future type of move. And I think you also kind of stack it up and look at people's big boards. Was Ty Simpson 13 on anybody's? I don't, this is over a half of a round worth of a reach here. And I feel like the Rams could have certainly, they had an active and productive offseason, but there were good players on the board at much bigger positions of.
With the 15th pick in the NFL draft. This is per Jordan Schultz. The Buccaneers, I got the position right, edge, but I think the Buccaneers had no clue that they would get Ruben Bain falling to them. So Bain ends up on the Bucs. I thought they go Keldrick Falk. This is a much, much, much better score. The Buccaneers desperately needed some edge rush help, and here it comes.
Yeah, I'm shocked that he fell this far because that's why Jim's name is here. I figured surely he'll be off the board by the time John actually gets here. So that's what happened here. That shows that you can't be that right. But it's just 100% they're probably skipping because, again, the profile is weird. Like I just said, he's very, very productive. Like I broke down the entire pressure rate of all these top guys, and he's clearly at the top, both from a career standpoint and from a season. But those short arms would be, like you said, John, unprecedented, and the tape doesn't always match the production. And a lot of those production spikes helped both him and Akeem Mesidor. So I'm just curious of how the NFL took it. But if you're the Buccaneers, you got to be happy that you have a high upside player this low.
Before we go on with this, I want to point out to everybody, again, if you're enjoying the show, and we are having a great time, and hopefully you're enjoying it tonight, we want you to invite other people to the stream. Tell your friends, repost it, and look up here. If you want to come in and join the RotoWire team, be part of the team with us, we got 50% off through NFL Draft Weekend. You use the code DRAFT50 for any RotoWire subscription. Back at it, guys.
Yeah, good on the Buccaneers there. They're a team that needed everything but wide receiver and quarterback, I feel like. So,
yeah, what do you make of this pick?
Yeah,
John?
this is again, like we've said, we're a little bit torn on what Bain's going to be at this next level. But I think if you're the Bucs, and this is not like a great draft to trade down. You're probably not going to find, especially after what the Rams did. Like there's probably not too many other teams right now that are going to be wanting to pony up to the 15 spot. So you had to kind of stick and pick here. And, I think a worthwhile gamble, if nothing else, at 15, totally different discussion if Bain was going, inside the top 10. But at 15, especially in a class like this where it's a little bit thin at the top, I don't hate this pick when it comes to the Buccaneers specifically.
Okay. So we are through 15 picks. John McKechnie, our best ball guru at RotoWire, hopping in the stream. That means the Jets are back on the clock now at 16. Jim, let's get you back on the screen here. I think it's got to be my turn to hop off a little bit. I don't care if the nameplates are scrambled. We're all over the place at this.
People know.
First round. So let's get Jim back on the screen. I'll hop off for a little bit, and you guys can take us through what the Jets do over at pick 16.
Perfect.
Hey, I got an upgrade. My name's Jagger May now. Oh, man, they flipped me over. I'm Nick Whalen now. It's the round table. Hey, everybody, NFL draft. Like Nick said, we're almost halfway through the first round. We're only an hour and a half in. But again, this is rolling along, and we are waiting for the New York Jets to pick. And we've been talking about this all night. We have projected Mekhi Lemon could go there. Jagger, is that going to happen?
Yeah, I can't say yes because they have a lot of needs beyond just wide receiver. But if he's going to go somewhere, I love this for Mekhi Lemon, as with the exception of the quarterback play that we don't know, and I'm hoping.
Good thing we didn't stick with that. Well, we kind of did, because Jordan Schultz tells us with the number 16 pick in the draft, the Jets, they weaponize tight end Kenyon Sadiq. Take it away.
Oh, I don't hate it. This sucks for Mason. Did we talk about this? I think we did talk about this earlier, that before you got here, John, that if you could get someone like Kenyon Sadiq in, you play him and Mason Taylor at the same time, you still bring in more weapons, and you can get another wide receiver next year, because you're probably going to be, let's be honest, the Jets are getting a top 15 pick next year, right? We can all just say that out loud.
Yeah.
Here, it's an important point.
So to your point,
this is an important point. I want to point this out with everybody. Understand the NFL. Sean McVay taught us a great lesson last year. He started using 3 tight ends. What does that mean? NFL defenses commonly use 2 linebackers. McVay realized you change the math by getting an extra tight end on the field. So a lot of teams don't have good enough tight ends to use. But I think this draft is going to be a litmus test on how the league is viewing extra tight ends. The Jets, yeah, they have Jeremy Ruckert in there. But could this be the tipping point? Ruckert blocks. You have Mason Taylor, a hybrid, and Sadiq, a receiver. Maybe, just maybe, there's another one of those teams learning. We need to get weaponized at the tight end so we can change the numbers. Take it away, John.
Yeah, this is an interesting one. Like, I hadn't really thought of the Jets as a particular landing spot for Sadiq, but Jim, to your point there about the sort of somewhat of an evolution here that we're seeing with multiple tight end sets in the NFL. Obviously, they spent some capital on Mason Taylor. They're not giving up on him necessarily. I think Joe in the chat made a great point that this does feel like the Michael Mayer, Brock Bowers type of saga from a couple of years ago. But I do think you look at the loadout for the Jets right now, and you got Garrett Wilson, probably just too many targets. There's too much heavy lifting that he has to do. A.D. Mitchell, did some stuff there after he got traded over, everything like that. But you needed another pass catcher that can make a difference up the seam, out of the slot. And I think Sadiq can absolutely offer that. I mean, we saw his combine. It was unbelievable. It matched up everything that we saw on tape there. So the Jets get a lot more athletic here, and it takes a little bit of that pressure off of Garrett Wilson having to carry everything. And it still kind of frees up A.D. Mitchell to just kind of be that downfield target as well. So, dare we say kind of a good, smart pick by the Jets?
Jagger, before I tag you back in, Jordan Schultz followed up on that, and it's kind of reinforced what we're talking about. So I think it's important. Jordan Schultz says the Jets now have two big-time young tight ends in Kenyon Sadiq and Mason Taylor, a pretty scary proposition that duo develops. Now, of course, Jordan Schultz doesn't have all the answers, but I think he sees it like we do, that this is an emerging league. Jagger, where do you stand on this?
It's what John said. You know what I really like? I love this for Breece Hall, man. Like this helps the overall versatility of the run game, because we know that right now they have the perfect offense to stay on the field, do the copycat league thing in a good way, where you have offensive versatility. You have two guys where actually Sadiq's a better blocker than Mason Taylor is, to be honest. You can move both of these guys around, and Breece Hall could stay on the field, be utilized as a receiver because you have tight ends who could stay home. You have rushing games. He's not a bad pass blocker either. And then both of these tight ends can go out there and catch passes as well. I'm excited for whoever's going to be QB next. This isn't go out and get Geno Smith. This is heck yes, 2027 for the Jets.
John, before I tag you back in, I want to piggyback on what I was telling people about McVay influencing more tight end usage. I also think there's going to be another emerging trend. I think we're going to see a lot of slot-only receivers kind of start going the way of the dinosaur. We saw Josh Downs relegated to 50% snaps after playing 76 or so his first couple of years in the league. We saw, even though he's not very good, Demario Douglas really got phased out. As I think teams are realizing, if you have an extra player on the field as a tight end and he weighs even 230, 240, as opposed to the 190 slot receiver, the tight end can chip block. It helps your run game more. And they also have the receiving threat. I think that's part of the dynamic that works into this. John, any thoughts?
Yeah, I think that, that this is going to be a problem for us in the fantasy community. We're going to have to identify those guys who might be going extinct first, as far as those slot only type of guys, as we start to see a larger evolution towards multiple tight end sets, 12 personnel, 13 personnel, that type of stuff. So interesting pick nonetheless for the Jets here. I think that they've made out pretty well for themselves here thus far. I suppose we could quibble about did they make the right pick at 2, but I'm pretty confident that they did make the right pick here at 16.
Jagger, I'm going to bounce to you in a second, but the question I have is this. The Lions are on the clock. I mocked them with offensive tackle Caleb Lomu because Taylor Decker retired. They got Penei Sewell. The interior line was a bit of a downgrade last year. Dan Campbell's there. He's not going to sleep on the tackle position. Do you think they go tackle? Or do you think the Lions have a bigger plan here?
Monroe Freeling is still there.
Oh,
man.
Yes.
There we go.
Monroe Freeling is got it. I like Caleb Lomu a lot, but he's more of a pure pass blocker, not so much of a good a road grader. I think Monroe Freeling, you could put him anywhere but probably center, and he could probably play center as well, and he's going to be effective. He's my number one offensive tackle on a value at this point. I feel good about the Pats getting an offensive lineman. I didn't at first for mocking, but I'm surprised so many have fell.
I love that call, and I think you're actually right. Monroe Freeling it definitely has more versatility, and we know how much Dan Campbell does mean the run game. It means the world to him, so that may end up being the better pick for them. So we'll see what happens with them. Meanwhile, just looking 2 picks ahead, while we're waiting for this pick to come in, what are the Vikings going to consider to do at pick 18, John?
Well, I feel like the trendy one this year, as far as like everyone's bingo free space in their mocks, was Dylan Tinneman out of Oregon. I'm sticking with that. He's still on the board. I feel like, with Harrison Smith, stepping aside here, safety, grades as one of their weaker positions right now. I look at Mike Clay's unit grades, one of the lower grades that the Vikings have on the roster. So it certainly stands out as a big need. I could also see defensive line, but, after Bain comes off the board there, you might have to be reaching just a little bit to get this next guy if you're the Vikings. So I feel like safety and Dylan Tinneman would probably be the way that this one shakes out, I'm guessing.
Hey, and Harrison Smith, he's going to be the first ever to go from the NFL to Social Security in 30 minutes. I think it's going to be great getting a check from the government after leaving the NFL. Jagger, you have any different thoughts on where the Vikings go? We know they're a pick ahead. We're waiting on that Lions pick, but what are your thoughts on Minnesota coming up soon?
I think, again, I'm going to put a quarter in the Zion Young bucket. I really like him a lot. Cade McDonald is boring, so...
The good
already
news,
got it.
We got the position right. The bad news, we all were wrong. So according to Jordan Schultz, the number 17 pick, the Lions take Clemson offensive tackle Blake Miller. Go ahead, Jagger.
That's a great pick there. I don't have a graphic made. I'll get on it right now. I guessed wrong with Caleb Lomu getting on it. But Blake Miller's someone I liked last year a whole lot. He is like a 3-year starter at this point, and just an absolute stalwart anchor for Clemson. Very, very good pick. And I'm honestly just sad for a lot of these other teams that, like, let's say like the Texans, who I thought he could fall to. This is, to me, a slam dunk. And I just really wonder what happened with Monroe Freeling, because the tape's good, the athleticism's great, but that guy's just is tumbling. I wonder if they view him as a guard. So,
the Steelers are going to probably end up taking the Vikings and the Panthers. The Ike Ekwonu has that terrible knee injury, so it's possible they consider going that route. But if they don't, Dallas probably isn't taking the lineman here at their second pick. It would be the Steelers could really use the help, because Broderick, is it Broderick Jones? Last name I'm getting wrong.
That's
here,
right.
But he has that. Yeah, he has that neck injury, and that's not looking very good right now, unfortunately, for the poor man. I hope he heals up well, but that's a concern. So Monroe Freeling, maybe that's where he ends up. That's actually where I mocked him. I'd be lucky if I hit that one. But all that said, the Vikings are now on the clock. John McKechnie did tell us about his thoughts. Jagger was starting his thoughts till I so rudely gave us the Jordan Schultz pick. Jagger, continue on with the Vikings.
For interior defensive lineman, I like Kristen Miller from Georgia a lot as well. I think that he's a lot better than where he's being mocked. And I'm going to, like, John, I like where you're at with safety. I'm going to go same position, different player here. More of a thumper and not so much as a speed guy like Dylan Tinneman, but Emmanuel McNeil-Warren from Toledo. I loved his tape a lot. Good, versatile guy who could play in the box and rangy. He's someone that could play closer to Harrison Smith, but not so much as a modern safety that can play deep that like Dylan Tinneman does. So either way, basically what I'm saying, I do think they go defense like you do. So
Nick, we can hear you. You'll be on the screen soon. Any thoughts on Kenyon Sadiq going to the Jets a couple picks ago?
It's an interesting pick, that's for sure. The Jets, I don't know that we would have flagged tight end as one of those at the top of the list, but I think Kenyon Sadiq is the type of player that almost transcends being a tight end and is just more of a pass catcher, more of a weapon offensively, and I think that's probably how the Jets are viewing this. It's still a little bit surprising to me. I do wonder, as somebody holding a 2 tight ends selected in the first round ticket, if the Jets now locking up one of those tight ends, if this does potentially open up an opportunity for Eli Stowers to sneak his way into round 1. Like, I'm not saying Carolina's going to take him at 19, but
According to Jordan Schultz, the number 18 pick in the NFL draft, the Minnesota Vikings go defensive tackle Caleb Banks out of Florida. John McKechnie, what do you got there?
Well, a bit of a reach. I would have, to Jagger's point, if they were going defensive line, I thought McDonald out of Ohio State would have been the move. Banks was someone that I think had some medical stuff that they were taking a recheck on, but big guy out of Florida. I suppose, if our theory is right, and once you get past the top 15 players in this class, it's pretty flat. There's not a huge difference between, pick 18 and pick 40 as far as the amount of talent you're getting. So, they've obviously put these guys under the microscope. They knew that they needed defensive line help, and they decided that Banks was their guy. So, I will go ahead and defer to them, and we'll see what Flores can do with them.
And Jagger, you've been doing some amazing scouting work. Tap yourself back in and tell us your take on Caleb Banks going to Brian Flores, who coaches the Minnesota Vikings.
I think this is a reach for the same reasons that he said. The injuries are certainly a concern. The biggest the glaring thing on his tape, he missed so many tackles, which is crucial for that upside for a defensive tackle. So the polish isn't even there. So you're drafting a lot of upside based around someone who is also injured. So this is, I think, high upside, but incredibly high risk. But at the end of the day, if he comes back from that broken foot and the athleticism pops, they got someone who has Jalen Carter upside that I like a lot, because that was my comp from him. He's a very, very good pass rushing 3 technique.
Jagger, we'll double up on you here. We have the Carolina Panthers on the clock here at pick 19. Where are they going with this pick? And then John will follow you up.
Well, this is where Kenyon Sadiq would have went for me, and I felt like I kept putting offense there. This goes back to offensive line. I wouldn't be surprised if they go Caleb Lomu now, or if they want to double dip and then get something for the trenches as well, since, they traded Brian Burns, who would have been great for this now playoff team a while back. So,
John, go right ahead. Tap in here.
Does Keldrick Falk make some sense out of Auburn if they want a little extra juice on their pass rush or offensive line? I think also makes sense. The Lomu call would certainly check the box in my opinion. But yeah, the Panthers can go a whole slew of directions here. But I think the smart play would be addressing the trenches one way or the other.
We are well more than halfway through the first round. Things are flying by here. Again, if you have any friends that you want to bring into the show and have some fun with all of us, we love you being here. We appreciate you. Send people here to watch, and we'll all have fun together. And while you're at it, if you want to be part of our RotoWire team, we got some great things cooking at RotoWire. We have a special draft day weekend, 50% off. Just use the code DRAFT50 at rotowire.com for any subscription. Nick Whalen, continue on. Panthers are on the clock.
Yeah, I think Jagger and John laid it out pretty well as far as what the options are here. Of all the mocks that we've all been looking at for the last several months at this point, I feel like Kenyon Sadiq to the Panthers was the common thread in every single mock draft that I read. I did not see a single Kenyon Sadiq to the New York Jets. I don't even know if that would have been the pick, right? If I recall, I don't even think tight end was the favorite outcome as far as first player drafted for Carolina. I think if nothing else, it was just kind of a convenient, they could use a tight end. Sure, let's just pencil him in there. So I don't think it's like the Panthers draft plan is completely blown up, but I think it eliminates one option, right? If you're in that decision room, you could just take Sadiq off the table. Maybe that narrows it down a little bit more. And Carolina is one of those teams among many that has needs all over, right? I mean, I think this time last year, we would have been saying that they were in contention for being the most barren roster in the NFL. And, now we view that team a little bit differently. So, I think trenches is probably where we go on either side of the ball for Carolina, which is fine. Honestly, if you're a team that's picking in this range and you're taking an offensive lineman or a defensive lineman, that means that you're in a pretty good spot. That's like you sometimes you kind of want to be the boring team. You want to be the Detroit Lions. Just we'll just take a boring tackle at 17. That's totally fine.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. Jagger, why don't you tap yourself in here as we get ready for the Carolina Panthers pick? But let's maybe talk a little bit ahead. We've got about 10 or so picks left.
Jim, I got to cut you off here. I believe we have a trade per Ian Rappaport.
Go right ahead.
I'm told that Ian is in my ear. He says the Eagles are now on the clock.
Eagles
Howie.
trading up to 20 with Dallas. So with the wait a minute. So, but the 19th pick hasn't been.
I think they're trading with Carolina.
So yeah, but okay, but yeah, it's interesting. Schefter says Eagles trading up 20 with Dallas. So
okay. So they've traded up to 20. We still do not. I have not seen a 19th pick either.
Correct. So wow, this new math's been bothering me for 2 decades. Let's get back to the old abacus here, old man talking. So yeah, so the Eagles trading up with Dallas. What could Howie Roseman be up to?
What do you think, John?
Are they doing the receiver thing? Are they telegraphing the AJ Brown trade? I don't know. This is
well, I mean, who's worth trading up for right now? I think that's the question, right? If you're evaluating this objectively, John, on your board.
Edge. Cassius Howell would be someone I'd look at.
Okay. Maybe their offensive line is getting a little bit old. We saw Lane Johnson miss time and them get really affected by that last year. Maybe they address tackle here as well.
Okay.
Jerry, why don't you tap yourself on the screen? You got to bump me off to do it. And let's get you rolling a little bit.
I can get bumped.
We'll keep John in for a little bit. We'll let you go. Let's see what the Eagles do, John, and then we'll let you go about your night. I know you're on Eastern time.
Very good.
Could it be Mekhi Lemon? I think that's the fun fantasy scenario, at least, to discuss.
Hang on, trade scenario. Let me break this down. Tom Pelissero, the Eagles trade for 20 and a 7th round pick. Dallas gets the 23rd pick, number 114 and number 137. Now you can head back. I just want to give the trade compensation per Tom Pelissero.
Okay, that's not bad.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, and especially
that to me, the Eagles really wanted to move up because I feel like they give up a decent amount to move up 3 spots there.
Yes.
Interesting pairing of Mekhi Lemon and Devontae Smith because they do some similar things there. And I mean, Denzel Boston could be the guy. A lot of people think that he's worth more than I do. But I think I don't want them to Treylon Burks themselves because that seems like the Treylon Burks thing where it's like it's close, but it's still not AJ Brown. Why don't you just get the real thing?
No, that's a great call. Obviously because the Titans did literally what you said there, and we all know how that worked out. So yeah, the eternal chase for the team that's trading away AJ Brown to replace AJ Brown, maybe it lives on here.
The prophecies say that it'll never happen.
We have a very weird scenario here where we're just like assuming this trade is going to happen. This might be it's like, all right, it's not going to happen until June, but just expect it. And here's the team he's going to. I cannot remember the last time that's happened where this trade is just out there. Have we seen people adjusting to that already in best ball, John? Like, are we seeing Devontae Smith shoot up boards? Are we seeing any adjustment for AJ Brown?
Yeah, the more concrete that this has become, the more that you're seeing Devontae Smith be drafted, not just in the 3rd round, but we're talking about like the middle of the 3rd round at this point. We're around pick 30. He's someone that like a month and a half ago you could pretty routinely get it at the 3-4 wheel or even well into the 4th round, kind of around where like Luther Burden was going. So there is kind of if you were hoping to get.
Even though we do not have the number 19 pick, we do have the number 20 pick. So let's give you what we have here. All right, per Jordan Schultz, the Eagles draft Mekhi Lemon, wide receiver, USC. Jagger, head in on this one, and I'm going to find out who that 19th pick was while we're working at it.
Yeah, Mekhi Lemon, we kind of already talked about it already. This is a weird matchup, but hey, I think that this is still a better player than Denzel Boston, and this is a much better replacement for AJ Brown because you're not trying to recreate AJ Brown with a lesser version. You're just going to get a guy that's good and wins his own way.
I mean, I think as far as like, slot reps, like the shape of this offense is going to have to change,
We're going backwards. Just topsy-turvy day. We gave you the 20 pick. We finally got the 19 pick. The Panthers did select offensive tackle Monroe Freeling with the number 19 pick. John was already talking currently about Mekhi Lemon going to the Eagles, and then we will definitely go after that to the Monroe Freeling side. But go back on Mekhi Lemon to the Eagles.
And quickly on Monroe Freeling, go Dogs. But as far as Lemon's fit there, like great slot receiver. I think that was kind of an opening in that offense. Obviously, they've added some pieces as far as the receiving core goes in preparation for moving on from A.J. Brown. But Lemon's a guy that you can obviously kind of plug and play there. He's someone that's going to be kind of dominating the short and intermediate stuff. I think that this might hurt Dallas Goedert a little bit downstream as far as like where he runs his routes. But, Lemon, I think that this is, if nothing else, like if you're just kind of making a big board here, like I would have had him, Mekhi Lemon, rated higher than 20. So ultimately, I think that the Eagles saw an opportunity there and swooped in.
Howie Roseman, again, everyone's like, how do you let this happen when he's getting like 100 targets next season? Granted, they're Jalen Hurts targets, so depending if you're a Cowboys fan or not or what you think about, it doesn't matter if they're good, if you don't think he's elite, but I at least think that if you get a good offensive coordinator in, there's a lot of high upside for this offense with all the weapons they have now with Mekhi Lemon included.
So where do we stand on the 6 receivers in round 1? We need to revisit this now that wide receiver 3 is off the board. Are we still in position here with Pittsburgh, the Chargers, Dallas, Cleveland, Chicago, Buffalo, San Francisco, Houston, KC, Miami, the Pats, and Seattle left on the clock?
We're scary, but we're still in it. The Browns, the Browns, the 49ers get less of a need with Mike Evans. Chiefs could be. Dolphins, the Patriots. Again, A.J. Brown hasn't happened. It's probably about to happen right now. I feel like it's probably about to happen right now. So Seahawks, I think, is another dark horse for a wide receiver.
I'm glad you brought up the Seahawks, because when I was talking myself into Eli Stowers sneaking in to round 1, I'm looking at these teams at the end and I'm like, I don't think Houston does it, but maybe KC at 29, they're looking for the Travis Kelce heir apparent. And then you get to Seattle and it's like, you go look at that depth chart. They brought back Rashid Shaheed, who felt like made a bigger impact as a kick returner and a punt returner than he did a wide receiver. I mean, I like Torrey Horton a lot, but there's still a lot of ifs there. Like this is not a star-studded group of pass catchers or even skill position players in general outside of JSN. So what do you see Seattle doing the rest of this draft, John?
Yeah, I mean, I wrote this article about like the shapes that the market is putting on these teams, and you've got JSN going in the top 5, and then I don't think there's another Seattle Seahawk that gets drafted like in the top like 120 or 130. So it's a depth chart that's missing a lot of pop. So they could go in a lot of different directions. I'm a huge fan of Shaheed, but I do think that he's limited as far as like how much targets you can put on his plate. Torrey Horton, obviously kind of more of a developmental guy. I believe in him, but I think if you have the opportunity to get one of the 4 or 5 best receivers, or we're hoping 6 in this one, then I think you go ahead and do it. So that makes sense. I think also I will push back on the idea of like Jadarian Price being the pick for them at 32. I think you got to go with it. If you're addressing skill, you got to go with either Stowers or the best available receiver. Overkilled it to take Price this early.
Egregious reach. Because like I talked to Jeff today about Jadarian Price. So I'm like, you were supposed to be the Mike Washington, where on tape you looked big enough for some thump to play in early downs and fast enough to where there's a lot of upside. Sam, I love you, but I'm not going to be. I'm not.
We don't have to be nice to the Steelers.
Yeah, I'm going to judge it like I call it, which is probably poorly. And but I think when you come in smaller and slower, that's like that's not first round anymore. That's like day 2, maybe 4th round, hoping for upside.
Yeah, I had a lot of combine bet slips that were very much tethered to some really good numbers from Jadarian Price. They did not come in, and I was pretty surprised by that. I thought the film showed us something that he would do that Mike Washington thing. Certainly not. I still have some belief in Price, but certainly not as a first rounder. I think there's more of like an open conversation as to who the second running back off the board is. And regardless, I don't think it's happening tonight.
Guys, talking back about that pick that Mekhi Lemon went to the Eagles, are we worried right now that they lack a physical element at wide receiver? Devontae Smith's like 165 pounds, maybe 170 if his shirt's full of the snow in Philly. And then we have 195-pound Mekhi Lemon. Physicality, any kind of an issue here?
Yes.
Keep going on that, Jagger.
Yes. I mean, it changes their identity. You're a run first team, and Mekhi Lemon is a willing blocker, but he's not a good blocker. There's a difference there. Like, he's what we call a speed bump in football. It's like, thank you for that minor inconvenience. And I will say, when you have someone who isn't accurate, having someone like AJ Brown who can make things just happen with this physicality, that helps. So in theory, I like it, but it definitely feels like a shift of offensive identity. And I'm curious to see how that's going to shape in 2026 as far as play calling and play style.
What kind of leap do you think Devontae Smith could make, John? Even though you're in theory replacing AJ Brown with Mekhi Lemon, you're bringing in another high upside guy, but obviously Devontae Smith was the best college receiver of my lifetime. I will always hold a special place in my heart for two people, Justin Blackmon and Michael Crabtree. Those are the two most impressive receivers I've ever seen at the college level. But what Devontae Smith did in his final season, I don't know if we're going to see that again. And I think there were always questions about how that would translate to the NFL. I think he's benefited in a lot of ways from being the secondary option in Philly. Obviously, if we're talking about physicality, that's not necessarily going to be there with him. Another guy who's willing to scrap it up, but obviously doesn't have the size to do that. But what is he actually capable of in a true featured role, if we're assuming that he is the 1A and Mekhi Lemon is probably a fairly distant 1B in his rookie year?
So we've come to this point in his career to where, the questions that you had about him being, kind of being a spindly string bean coming out of college, like I feel like he's mostly answered that. He's still not like an AJ Brown. You're not going to recreate AJ Brown like we've been talking about, but I think there is another level here.
With the 20th pick in the NFL draft, the Steelers select Arizona State offensive lineman Max Ianakor, which of course I butchered that name, but yes, Max Ianakor. I thought the Steelers would go offensive line, thought they might go elsewhere, but this is their pick. And since Sam asked Jagger to be kind, we're going to find out if he's going to be kind or not here.
I actually love this pick for them. I was ready to roast them, but you don't want to reach on Garrett Nussmeier, who's someone that I really like. Max Ianakor is slowly risen. Again, I don't have anything for him because I was unsure if he's going to make the first round or not. But you're just fixing the offensive line, and you're finally doing that with at least a good player. I've just recently mocked Caden Proctor because it felt like the most Pittsburgh pick where they're going to take someone with upside. This is someone who's polished, who's good, who can hold down an offensive line. And if you're going to have 1,000-year-old Aaron Rodgers back there throwing passes, you better have an offensive line that can protect, basically a mummy. Let's just call it what it is. So.
And I mentioned with Aaron Rodgers, and I expect him to come back. Aaron Rodgers turtles when pressure comes. He just totally goes into the shell. He does not want to get hit. We said earlier, Broderick Jones, the left tackle, he has a neck issue. We don't know what's going on. If they didn't address that position, they probably weren't getting Aaron Rodgers back. John McKechnie, do you think that could have been something the Steelers were thinking about?
I'm having a hard time with where the Steelers are right now. They're literally in no man's land without a quarterback. And whenever Aaron Rodgers wanders out of the forest sometime this summer and decides whether he wants to play football again, we're already past the NFL draft. So is it going to be Will Howard for them eventually? I don't know. The Steelers are definitely just in this strange spot where their long run of being competent. They might need to take their medicine this year especially if Rodgers ends up obviously stepping away.
Will Howard, Mo Howard from the Three Stooges, any of them work. Keep going, guys.
All right. Over 0.5 Three Stooges references caches in hour 2.
I had that at crazy
hour
odds.
3 now of the stream. Jordan Tyson's brother, by the way, just airballed a wide open 3 for the Cavaliers. If you're trying to multitask and watch NBA playoffs tonight. John, we won't keep you too long here, but I got a couple more kind of best ball matters and just kind of general skill position questions I want to throw your way. We already have some rookie season player props up for some of the guys we have seen drafted over the last 2 hours. Jeremiah Love to rush for at least 1,000 yards, John, minus 110 at DraftKings. I will tell you, Ashton Genty, for reference, got to 975 last year in 17 games.
I'm glad you provided that reference. I'm going under. I'm going under on this one. I don't think even if like he had a backfield kind of to himself, like in Tennessee or something, if he landed there, that he would have been able to get there. I think that Love is used at his best as like a 15 carry a game type of guy in the NFL. And, we're going to need this Cardinals offensive line to suddenly become pretty good. If we were banking on that last year with Genty, I don't think it'll be as bad as the Raiders offensive line was, but color me a little bit skeptical there. So that might lead me to bump Love a little bit further down in my rankings than just the end of the second round here.
For reference, Jordan Tyson to go over 1,000 yards receiving, that is plus 115 at DraftKings. Mekhi Lemon to get to 1,000 yards, plus 370. Again, at DraftKings, plus 125 for Carnell Tate. We talked a little bit, John, of course, about the fit for Lemon in Philly, but let's talk a little bit about Tate and Tyson. Carnell Tate going 4 to the Tennessee Titans, Tyson 8 to the New Orleans Saints. Kind of the same type of thing we've been asking as far as best ball. What have we seen lately? Obviously, there's a lot of speculation. Those markets tend to fluctuate almost day to day leading up to the draft. But now that we know the landing spots, what are we going to see ADP-wise in best ball?
So it's funny because they've all been clustered. Like the market has kind of thrown their hands up and said, yeah, I like them in the 5th round, but I can't really delineate between any of these three, whether it's Tate, whether it's Tyson, whether it's Lemon. I think you see Tate go to Tennessee, and I really like this spot for him. I think that, whatever's left of Calvin Ridley, I'm just going to go ahead and believe that it's not really there. If you paid top dollar for Wan'Dale Robinson, I'm sorry, but I feel like Tate's the number one guy there in Tennessee. And, I think there's some good things in Cam Ward's tape last year. So I think Tate on the rise here. I think that we're going to see him creep inside the top 50. Tyson, this sets up really nicely, especially if you're a Saints optimist, especially if you believe in what you saw down the stretch this past year in New Orleans. If you believe in Tyler Shuck, I made this chart in one of my articles, just kind of like a snapshot of teams with the biggest gap between their wide receiver 1 ADP and wide receiver 2. And like Devon Vele was theoretically their wide receiver 2 coming into tonight, like almost 200 picks later than Chris Olave. Now Tyson lands there. That fills a huge need for them in that offense. I think that offense looks a lot more scary this year. So I'm not the biggest Jordan Tyson guy in the world, but it couldn't have been a much better landing spot inside the top 10 for him. I like it certainly better than if he went to the Giants. So this is really good news for Tyson. Lemon, I think I'll be the low man on, but of these three, I'm just worried about a low passing volume offense. And, again, he's going to have to fight over some veterans, including Devontae Smith, plus a lot of running between Jalen Hurts and Saquon Barkley.
Guys, we have a pick coming up pretty soon here. The Chargers are on the clock at 22. I'm hoping that they go with an offensive guard. They tackle hopefully healthy this year. Rashawn Slater, Joe Alt. They did try to address the interior line. I don't think they did enough. Chase Besantis, in my mind, is who I'm looking at. Anybody have an opinion on what the Chargers might do with this pick?
Caleb Lomu's somebody, but he's purely a tackle. They need a guard. Emmanuel Pregnon from Oregon is someone that I wouldn't be surprised if he went here. Actually, we just got the pick already.
We did not play the music. With the 22nd pick in the NFL draft, the Chargers take the top edge available. Miami's Akeem Mesidor. Go ahead, guys.
This is the oldest guy. I've said it. He's old. What I don't love about this pick is that by the time he is ready for another contract, he's already going to be almost 30 if they pick up his 5th-year option. He is incredibly productive. As far as 2025, he was as productive as Ruben Bain and David Bailey. He's versatile in coverage as well, which I have right here on the screen, and I love that, and that's what makes him, I think, so valuable, is that versatility beyond pass rushing. But again, it's the late breakout. We don't have a lot of the data for a lot of these defensive guys like we do from the offensive side because of fantasy, but he's classic late breakout bust potential for these IDP guys, especially when you move along someone like Ruben Bain, who can draw tons of attention from offensive line and make it easier. Because this guy was at West Virginia and not being very productive there, and that's a red flag. So I get the chess move for the Chargers. I'm just worried that this is kind of throwing a pick away, especially for first round in 2 to 3 years.
chat room. We'd love everybody. If you could chime in with those thoughts. We'd love to put them up on the screen, talk about thoughts you're having out there. And remember, RotoWire, and we're going to put this up on the screen in a second, but you can get 50% off a RotoWire subscription through draft weekend only. This is a once in a lifetime deal. You can be part of our team. Just go to rotowire.com, pick out that subscription, use the code DRAFT50. But these are great times at RotoWire, and we'd love to have you join us.
Well said, Jim. Well said. John, any thoughts on the Mesidor pick? And then we'll let you go, man.
I'm with Jagger. Like this is a guy that it's a bit overaged. And I do wonder if this is kind of like a canary in the coal mine for the future of these NFL drafts, because we are seeing older and older classes. I think Eric DeCosta was talking about this the other day, and I wonder if the NFL is going to like get upset at it to a point. I know the courts have kind of like put things in place where you got 5 years to play from the time that you get on campus now. So we're not going to see as many of these 23, 24-year-olds, but guys are staying in college longer. And, if Mesidor had to come out 2 years ago, he's probably undrafted, right? So, him having that age advantage kind of fueling his success on the field at Miami, that raises questions to me. I want some upside. I want some projectable ability to a guy's game. And, it feels like he's at the end of his developmental curve at this point. So if he's not hitting right away, we have a bust on our hands right off the jump, I think, if you're the Chargers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point, John, and something that I do think we will see a little bit more of. 25 years old already is Mesidor. Awesome stuff, John. I know your wife's having a baby in like 48 hours, so we appreciate you jumping on here, giving us some of your time. I know this is a huge night for you. You've put in a ton of work leading up to the draft for us over at RotoWire. So everybody give John a follow on Twitter at Johns_tailgate. Find all of his best ball work over at rotowire.com. You can find him every week on the RotoWire YouTube channel as well. Jonathan, thank you, man. Best of luck this weekend.
Absolutely. Thanks again, guys. Thanks for having me on. And, if anything, this keeps me, out from under my wife's foot for a minute. I'm not bugging her. I'm just talking draft. So this ended up being a win-win for everybody, but I'm going to go back to just freaking out about having a kid here soon.
It's going to be fine, man. It's going to be fine. Looking forward to meeting her.
All righty, guys. Cheers. Thank you.
All right. John McKechnie, everybody kind enough to stop by the stream. All right. Everything is well now with the nameplates. We're back in. Jim's back on screen. Obi-Wan Outlaw chiming in saying, let's hope Dynamin ends up falling to Chicago. It's certainly a possibility at this point. We're now back to the Cowboys on the clock at 23.
Yeah, I'm hoping I got that Thieneman one right, because the Bears, they did go Kobe Bryant and free agents from Seattle, but I really thought they need another safety, so this would be a fun one. But yeah, as you were saying, the Cowboys are on the clock. Jagger, where do you stand on this one?
They're still in best player available. I still think they could attack the offensive line. I still think they can go defense. A lot of great defensive players. I got my big board up right now. If they want to go just safe run stuffer, Caden McDonald is someone I could see going. They already got Caleb Banks. Seems redundant if they would go get another safety. But a lot of these corners that are still around, I like Colton Hood a lot. I liked his tape as much as Jermod McCoy. I don't think Jermod McCoy is going tonight. Those injury concerns.
With the 23rd pick in the NFL draft, per Jordan Schultz, the Cowboys have selected UCF pass rusher Malachi Lawrence. You can get right back at it, Jagger.
This is actually perfect. I've mocked Malachi Lawrence there a lot, and this is someone who's been who's athletic, productive, can stand up and not just play as like a 5 technique. Like we're getting to the point where a lot of the edge rushers beyond Cassius Howell are pure 5 techniques, hand in the dirt. No one's really playing standing up. So I like him a lot. Malachi Lawrence, Gabe Jacas, and Zion Young are my 3 guys that I think are going to be huge values for teams in the future. So love this pick for the Cowboys. They immediately got better on defense tonight. And I always hate giving him his flowers, but Jerry Jones deserves it.
He's done well, man. He's done well. I think even trading back, getting their guy, obviously getting Downs at 11. I think we're all reluctant to say it, but it's been a good night for the Dallas Cowboys. So, Jim, this brings us to the Browns again now at 24. They win Spencer Fano at number 9. So they have a tackle locked in. Or are they two in best player available mode right now?
I really think they have to give a wide receiver to their quarterback, whether it's Shedeur Sanders. I hope it's not Deshaun Watson. They have to give him somebody. Like we said earlier in the show, Jerry Jeudy can catch a cold. That's about all they can catch. And they need to be kind of moving away from him. And so this is the opportunity right now to get Casey Concepcion in there. You want somebody who can get open fast, can get open in the middle of the field, and can give the quarterback an easy target. And we already have Harold Fan and the tight end coming on. These are the type of pass catchers that can at least get the offense moving the ball a bit.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
I'm so glad to hear that Jagger agreed because per Jordan shows the number 24 pick in the draft, the Cleveland Browns have selected Texas A&M wide receiver. We called it Casey Concepcion. Go get back at it, Jagger.
Yeah, this is another one where I thought it was the ideal fit. His comp that I've had for him and is Zay Flowers, and I think he actually has more juice than Zay Flowers does. I think he's much faster downfield, much better as a Z. You're going to see him basically getting the same usage that Todd Monken had from him, where we're going to see the sweeps, but he's not just a pure slot guy. I want to emphasize that, and that's why I want to bring you, again, the Zay Flowers comp, because he can play that Z flanker on the outside. This seems ugly. The quarterback is ugly, but I think the offensive system and the landing spot is nice.
It is the Cleveland Browns at the end of the day, but there is opportunity in Cleveland, no question about it. Where does he slot in here, Jim? We're still assuming Jerry Jeudy is your wide receiver one. I know you have some love for Cedric Tillman if he played for another team or had a different quarterback, but he's still at least a factor in that mix. And again, I have no idea. I don't even know how to handicap this right now as to whether it's Shedeur, Deshaun Watson. There is obviously organizational investment in Deshaun Watson playing well at some point. I am of the belief that ship sailed 4 years ago, and I think it's a mess if you try to go back to him. I also don't feel great about this offense with Shedeur Sanders. So, I mean, ultimately, Concepcion, I think we all like the player. Is he somebody you're willing to touch in fantasy is what I'm asking.
Draft capital, as we know, means everything. And the Browns spent a first-round pick on him, which means they see him as an immediate contributor. We know Myles Garrett's on the defense. But cornerback Denzel Ward, he has slipped the last few years. He is not the dominant player. This is a defense that's going to give up points. Cleveland's going to have to score. They're going to have to throw. Cedric Tillman, I love him, like you said. Other than the occasional just bomb away that works for Sanders, he's not a downfield passer. This is going to be Fannin and Concepcion. Now you're looking at wide receiver 3 in your PPR league. Wide receiver 30-ish. He's not going to be a wide receiver 1 year one because of the quarterback. The quarterback's going to severely limit him. But the catches are going to be there. Where do you guys stand on that?
Volume. And I think I think we're going to see rookie Zay Flowers again, where it may not be pretty, but it's going to be a volume game, low ADOT. I think even better, go back to, and I hate to say this because he's a much faster player, but go back to Jarvis Landry, where it's going to be a lot of those forced low ADOT throws, but he's a far better yak guy. So I'm interested. It's just how expensive is he going to be? Like, I'm willing to pay wide receiver 3 prices.
Yeah. I'm very interested in the speed element, right? Because when I think Zay Flowers, I think moving horizontally on the football field, making a catch and just like juking back and forth and occasionally picking up yards, but not a straight line speed guy. Does he have that same lateral quickness ability as Zay Flowers?
I think he's faster. Absolutely. And go ahead, Jagger, continue on that.
No, I think he's faster. Like Zay Flowers, I thought was more finesse.
Sure.
And Casey Concepcion has a finesse. He just has that. Like, I think Zay Flowers is an excellent 5-speed. I think that KC Concepcion has that 6 gear that you want out of a vehicle. So this is an upgrade for Todd Monken for someone that he already got a lot of production in. And like you said, the joystick ability that KC Concepcion has. Flowers, very good laterally, but it's almost that north and south coming out of the lateral quickness that I think puts him a step ahead of me as far as the prospects go.
And Todd Monken, the new head coach, he has to be discussed here because Todd Monken, his superpower is finding the best way to weaponize his offensive weapons. And I think Jagger's alluding this as well. The speed that Concepcion has and the ability to find the open spots in the zone. Monken is going to try to set him up on some quick yard after the catch to find the seam in the zone, get the ball in stride. Hopefully Sanders can do that, and then get yards after the catch, build up that way. But I think Monken will leverage that ability.
I agree 1,000%. And Todd Monken, a great offensive coordinator. So I'm not too worried about them at least having competent play calling, but I don't know what he is as far as a head coach. And if that's going to be like, you remember Todd Haley? I get Todd Haley vibes a little bit as well with Todd Monken. It's not because they're both look the same and they're named Todd, but someone that you like much better as a play caller, not someone you want running your team. I don't know yet. So
that's Columbus Aviators interim head coach Todd Haley, by the way. Something happened with him. Like, who was their head coach? This was just in the news the other day. It was some former player. The name is escaping me now. Oh, Ted Ginn Jr. He was the head coach. He got a DUI and then he handed it off now to Todd Haley. So that is your UFL update for the stream. All right, Jagger, your turn to play the who would you rather draft game. We now have 4 receivers off the board, and I don't want to play this with Concepcion because we're going way too deep there, but I'm going to give you Carnell Tate versus a few players. You can give an explanation if you want. You could just tell me who you'd rather draft, but would you rather take Carnell Tate or Jalen Waddle?
Jalen Waddle. I like the upside of Waddle a lot more.
Okay. Carnell Tate or Christian Watson?
Carnell Tate, because I think at the end of the day, they'll get the same points because Christian Watson's proven that he's a clear injury risk. I think injuries don't matter until they do, and they officially matter.
Mm-hmm. Carnell Tate, or I'm picking guys in his ADP range just for reference. Carnell Tate or DK Metcalf?
Carnell Tate still.
Yes. Yeah. Preach it.
Okay.
I don't. The Steelers aren't exciting. Sorry, Sam. No. Love you.
So Jim, that's a firm Carnell Tate for you versus Metcalf.
I love Metcalf. Metcalf has no chance because of if Aaron Rodgers is back, he just gets the ball out of his hands too fast. He neutered Metcalf. Now Metcalf got lucky in the Baltimore game late because Baltimore just crashed everybody down and single covered Metcalf, and they had 3 long connections. But Metcalf, after week 5, and the defenses realized what Rodgers was, basically they just took Metcalf away. So it's not a knock on DK Metcalf. It is a knock on Aaron Rodgers, and that's about the end of it.
Okay. I'll throw 2 more your way, Jagger, and then we can move on. Carnell Tate or Marvin Harrison Jr.?
Carnell Tate. They have a quarterback. I think the wheels are going to fall off Jacoby Brissett, man. I don't believe in that.
And if that happens, we are on to Gardner Minshew in Arizona, and then Keaton Slovis. Those are your options. Last one, Carnell Tate. Or sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say I like my boy Minshew better than Brissett, to be honest. At least stuff happens. It's not he's like a poor man's Jameis Winston. Like, he's gonna throw a bunch of picks, but at least some other stuff will happen too.
Okay, last one, Carnell Tate or Alec Pierce?
Alec Pierce. I'm weirdly in on Alec Pierce, man. Like,
I'm in too.
He's been productive, and now we got Pittman out of the way. So
Tate, according to NFFC ADP, some of these are best balls, some of these are real redrafts. There's been 78 of them at the NFFC, so we have a sample. Tate, and this is of course before we knew the landing spot, going almost a full round ahead of Alec Pierce. I don't know about that. I don't like that one bit.
In Dynasty, I just did a startup in there, and I was able to get Alec Pierce as my wide receiver 4. I'm like, wow, hot dog, you know. So even in Dynasty, they're behind. I feel like. What
are the biggest changes so far for you, just on the fly tonight, as far as if you had to re-rank right now? Like, is anybody moving way up, way down? Has it been fairly status quo?
Honestly, it's Jeremiah Love is the biggest faller. He's like the biggest loser all around. Basically, that entire backfield. If you were betting on Algier or James Conner, heaven forbid if you're still betting on. Every time.
2 in a row correct in the mock draft. Jordan Schultz is telling us with the number 25 pick in the draft, the Bears have selected safety from Oregon, Dylan Thieneman. Go ahead, guys. Take it away.
Hot dog. Here's good for you, Obi-Wan Outlaw. Here's my thing with Dylan Thieneman. I don't think there is as big of a drop between him and Caleb Downs as a lot of people think there is. I think this is an excellent pick for the Bears. They just lost both of their safeties. I'm pretty sure a lot of secondary help here. He can slide in right away and be an effective guy.
All right, we have a trade. The Texans are now on the clock at 26. They were at 28. So the Texans, 26 and 91. They traded with
Buffalo.
The Bills. So the Bills will get 28, 63, and 168. So again, the Bills get 28, 63, 168. Texans on the clock now and also get pick 91.
When they tweet out these trades, they got to put what round these are. I'm not a math guy. I don't know if you guys are math guys. We got compensatory picks mixed in there. I'm trying to divide everything by 32. Just put the round, please.
Thank you so much, Nick. This is like usually I'm just on the offensive side for fantasy on scouting. This year I'm a little bit better at understanding like picks on here, but once you get past 150, I'm done, dog. It's game over for me.
And then you throw in the 12 compensatory picks at the end of the third round, and it ain't even math of 32 anymore. It's math of, good luck. Throw 6 pieces of pasta in there, throw a little bit of celery in there. Well, guess what? It's a whole lot of nothing.
Yeah, I talk about football for a living, guys. Like, don't expect me to do that math.
Man.
I've not taken a math class since junior year of high school. All right, we're not. I'm trying to do long division here. Okay, so Thieneman goes to the Bears at 25. Our pal in the chat, Obi-Wan Outlaw, does get his wish. Pretty solid fit for Chicago. I would imagine a pretty easy choice for the Bears. But let's talk about what Houston might be doing here at 26, Jim.
So the Houston Texans, I thought that they were going to go defensive tackle. I thought they were going to go Caden McDonald initially, and I don't know if he's their guy, but I love the idea. This is an elite defense already. But if you think about it, you got Will Anderson on the edge, and you've got Danielle Hunter on the other. What if you put a potential pocket crusher in the middle with them? Because the way it is now, defenses are already doubling Anderson, putting attention on Hunter. What would that do? How elite would this defense be? And I know they need offensive help. I get it. It's really the quarterback issue. They need offensive line. But I'm excited. This is going to be fun to watch.
Yeah. It's Jim, believe it or not, like you're just off. Most of the things were on the same page because the two things I've mocked is trenches, whether it be offensive tackle or defensive tackle, because Cade McDonald was my guy. Caleb Banks was someone I like there. I keep bringing up Kristen Miller for Georgia. Is a pick in? Is it in?
No, I'm just agreeing with you, man.
Oh, yeah.
I thought we had breaking news.
Yeah, I was like, don't get too animated with me. Don't get too animated.
Yes, sir.
You're going to be screwed. But like you said, man, like the Texans building on what they have, don't reach on offensive tackle if it's not there. You can get someone else that's an absolute stud. And I wouldn't even hate if they go edge again, getting Zion Young, Gabe Jacquas. Yeah. And that, cause Danielle Hunter's old, guys. Like this, he could retire at any time, and go ahead and getting that replacement cheap isn't a bad chess move in my opinion.
Jim, what did you make of that report from your guy, Jordan Schultz, earlier today? He tweeted, teams have called the Texans to check in on Nico Collins with an understanding in the league that
would have loved to have answered that, but with the 26th pick in the NFL draft per Jordan Schultz, the Texans went offensive line. Kalen Rutledge. Take that away, Jagger, on that one. Kalen Rutledge to the Texans.
That's an inside offensive lineman, I'm pretty sure. And from Georgia, if I'm not mistaken, that's one guy. I actually don't even have a grade on him. I have looked at the tape there. So this is probably the first major surprise of someone like this would be the one I would say that Bill Belichick might make, or the strange pick. This is the first one, but it's not too strange. Like, to me, he was like a second round guy. And this is why I said that maybe Caleb Lomu, there's a low floor there because of that athleticism. And as much as like I keep bringing it up, and a lot of tape guys have liked him a lot, that athleticism isn't there, and he is a finesse guy, and they're just getting someone that can start right away. So I don't hate it. Manuel Pregnon, trade right now.
The Dolphins are now on the clock. They were supposed to pick at number 30. They traded with the 49ers at 27. We'll get the details on it later. But I'm thinking they have to get another receiver here, and I think it might be an Omar Cooper spot. What do you guys think?
Cooper, Boston, right?
Yeah.
Ooh, yes.
Denzel Boston, it feels like it would be Jeff Hafley's type if I'd had to guess, because he said that he wants to be more physical team, and Denzel Boston's a physical type player, so I better get on cooking that graphic up because I'm not ready for that. So,
well, in the meantime, Jim, I'll go back to what I was going to ask you before we had a pick coming in. So there was that Schultz report earlier today, teams checking in on Nico Collins. He did note highly unlikely that they would deal him, but teams have checked. He's vastly underpaid compared to the other elite wide receivers. So I do think a contract adjustment, in the words of Schultz, likely coming. But was there ever a world in which Houston would actually entertain trading Nico Collins?
There's no way they can do this because, and I get it, Jaden Higgins came in last year, but he had numbers. He was not beating coverage really well. Nico Collins. No, Nico Collins is one of what I call those dudes. When you play a too high safety look, Nico Collins can rip it over to second level of linebackers, and he can break the seam. And he's the one in a league that tries to stop explosive plays. He can create those without it being a traditional deep pass. He is the straw that stirs the drink on that offense. CJ Stroud, as bad as he was in the playoffs, imagine a life with CJ Stroud not having Nico Collins. It would be crazy if he didn't have Collins outside for him.
I put out a video last week, Jim, on my top 10 fantasy receivers. Obviously way too early for that, but I had to get Nico Collins in there. I love the player too much. I'm still very concerned about Stroud. I'm not that concerned about the other options. Like we could talk about Jaden Higgins having some moments. They're allegedly getting Tank Dell back. I don't know what he's going to look like. Right. Nico Collins to me is head and shoulders above every other pass catching option for the Texans. But how concerned are you right now about Stroud? Not even talking about him, the fantasy player, but more so what it means specifically for Nico Collins.
So first of all, I'm going to speak to the problem with CJ Stroud. When CJ Stroud was a rookie, he put up great numbers. We ask why. It was actually Bobby Slowick. Bobby Slowick was running a fullback on the field. Defenses had to put one safety down. So they were seeing one high safety, one low safety, which meant the downfield passing was open because there was only one safety. So you saw Tank Dell ripping it over the top, Nico ripping it over the top. All of a sudden, they get, the next year they make Slowick, they make him cut all the fullbacks. They were going 3 receivers. All of a sudden now, both safeties are high like they are against most teams. CJ Stroud no longer had those cake one safety looks, ruined him. So that's the real CJ Stroud. I was very worried because he was anticipating pressure late in the season. The line wasn't as bad as we think. It was not quite mediocre, but a little below that. But Stroud was acting like he was not going to have any time. He had the yips. Now, if they could coach that out of him, I still think he's a good quarterback. We're never seeing that year one again. Not happening.
I agree. I still don't know. I will say the offensive line is so bad. I have a hard time knowing who he is as a player, Jim, because I think if anything, I think I'm closer to the middle of where you are and where we thought he was as a rookie, where he's not quite that good, but if he has a little bit more help, it'll do a lot better. And Jaden Higgins, everyone said that he was a guy to get. I did not like his tape at all. It's the same thing Elijah Surratt, man. It's these high point guys that look great in college and guys who, I don't mean to be terrible, but they look good on tape to the uninitiated. But if you actually chart if they're beating coverage, they're not. So where I actually like Jalen Noel better as a prospect. And basically my point is, I don't even think he had the receiving core that he had when he had Tank Dell and Nico Collins, both coverage beaters. He just doesn't have that. Offensive line was poor, and I think firing Bobby Slowick was a mistake. So
100%.
Pick is in, Jim.
Pick is in. Play the music because I don't have it.
All right.
I do have it now with the number 27 pick in the NFL draft per Jordan Schultz. The Dolphins selected cornerback Chris Johnson, who is a massive riser up the ranks in this last month or so. Jagger, talk about Chris Johnson, the corner.
I actually don't even have much on this corner, man, because he's like a riser on there. So we're now at the point where, again, I think we're going to get people who teams who like guys more than the consensus do. And this is something that you said earlier, Nick, to where, or it was you and John, where we're getting clear tiers where it's just kind of flat. So if you look at a lot of these mocks, you're like, oh, this is a reach. Not really for a lot of these teams. Or now we've got these large buckets in, and I'm surprised that he went over someone who I really liked, like Colton Hood. And again, I think this goes back to what they're saying. They want a lot of these tougher players who are much better in run stuffing and not so much like this finesse team that the Dolphins have been for a while. So this is a surprise for me, and this is the first player where I can't even give you a detailed scouting report. So,
look, I want to jump in for a second, real quick. Our audience has been amazing tonight. We have so many of you out there. We really appreciate you hanging out with us. Hopefully, you are having a blast and a great time. But that said, we have an amazing deal at RotoWire. This is a once in a lifetime. 50% off a subscription. Our team at RotoWire is developing, improving. Use the code DRAFT50 on any RotoWire subscription, and we got you covered. Nick Whalen, I cut you off. Go right ahead.
I was going to say, I don't mind, the pick in a vacuum by Miami, because again, they are the team with probably the most needs in the NFL. I think you could take just about any position and justify it as a need. This is still a disastrous skill position group outside of Achane. I guess in theory, you improve the offensive line, somewhat of a controversial pick, taking Caden Proctor, trading out of the opportunity to draft Caleb Downs is an interesting call to me. Again, we're trying to keep this somewhat fantasy focused. This has not been a good night for Miami Dolphins in terms of fantasy. It's not been a good night for Malik Willis whatsoever.
It's a huge loss for me because they're doing the John Gruden thing. This feels like I'm watching the Raiders. You got a new coaching staff in. It's a coach who I didn't love. They're like, we're going to hire Jeff Hafley. I'm like, that's the direction you want to go? Cool. And now we're getting these off the wall picks. Granted, next year he could look like a genius. A lot of times the fact that I haven't gotten to this player yet, I'm not saying I'm Dane Brugler. I don't have the time yet. I've only just now even gotten to the point where I'm not, making graphics all day. I can actually be a scout. I don't see this pick as a slam dunk. It's like you said, Nick, good in a vacuum. You needed a cornerback, but there's a lot of other guys that a lot of other people like. I would rather you reach for D'Angelo Pons. At least I don't want to say, TikTok words like he's a dog, but his play in big games has showed someone who could be a game changer. He reminded me a lot of Tyrann Mathieu. So going this direction's wild to me. Just wild.
Guys, we talked earlier about Devon Achane, but now the fact that Miami did not take a receiver with either of their two picks. Nick, what about you? Where are you at on Achane? We know he's a superstar. They have no receivers, like you said. What do you do with him in draft? Because he's going to be a first-round pick.
I don't think I'm taking him. I think running back, first of all, is just deep enough that you are going to be fine if you pass on Achane. Like, it's not like there to me is, that's the end. And, I think the fact that Miami, I don't think anybody's feeling better right now about this Dolphins offense than they did 3 hours ago. So maybe we do see a slight fall in the ADP for Achane. But to me, I'm more than happy to take almost any other back behind him. And I'm not saying I'm going to reach and take those guys at pick 10, but I'll pass on Achane and I'll just take James Cook for the third straight year. I'll take Amarian Hampton, Chase Brown, Saquon Barkley.
Not exactly a pick, but the Patriots are trading up to 28, and so the Patriots will be picking here. You can continue on, Nick Whalen, until we get that pick actually in.
All right, good note by you. Yeah, I mean, again, we talked about it earlier in the stream, but I think there's this idea that when a running back like Achane, who catches passes, of course, is the only guy, you just think, oh, Christian McCaffrey, like that. This has worked for him. McCaffrey has not been in this kind of situation. Like this is dire straits in Miami. Like this team will likely be very bad. You have a quarterback who's never been a full-time starter, who's looked good in his flashes, in a very controlled system in Green Bay, who has, I think, easily now the worst group of pass catchers in the NFL. I don't even think it's close, right? Who's number 2 right now? If you're factoring in the tight ends, which are Ben Sims and Greg Dulcich, along with Malik Washington, Jalen Tolbert, and Tutu Atwell. I mean, that's brutal, man. It's absolutely brutal. So again, I think the thought is, well, HN will just do everything. One, he's either going to get beat up, or this team is just not going to be in position to score enough points where it's going to result in the kind of fantasy value that we think it will. You know, you could say he'll rack up the PPR points. I get that. I wouldn't bank on a 17-game season for Devon Achane. This is not a pick I want to make right now.
Jagger, before I tap back to you, my bad joke is going to keep getting traction because Miami without a receiver, I'm telling you, reach out to 5 guys. You've got to sponsor the wide receiver room. You got to put patches on their jersey. Let's make some money here. Jagger, get back at it.
Yeah. I mean, for real, man. Like, my name's Jags, so I hate when you call them Jags. But like, let's just swap up the name for Miami because it feels like they're drafting like that. It's just it's nuts to me. And Nick, we talked about this earlier, where in a vacuum, Devon Achane was great, but I think Mike McDaniels did a lot to elevate him and his style of play. And then on top of that, running backs just don't make things happen for themselves. They do not. You need the quarterback. You need an offense that puts you in position to make those plays. Achane just got to get me rolling, and then the picks come in. So.
Per Adam Breer, first time we heard from him tonight, the Patriots are making that trade up for Utah offensive tackle Caleb Lomu. I don't know that is announced as an official pick, but Albert Breer is a super respected source. So if he says that's the pick, that's the pick. Go ahead, Jagger, back at you.
Hey, I'm a Patriots guy, so I'm already physically ready to talk about this. So I'm just gonna say it. Excellent pick. You've done your job. Another thing that I really like, granted 2027 is still on the menu, but I feel like AJ Brown is going to go for a day 2 pick. I'm okay giving up a second round pick for AJ Brown, and you're going to get someone who's going to play right away across from Will Campbell, or Will Campbell can slide inside. He's not sexy in the run game, but I love his pass blocking, and he graded out as a much better pass blocker than Spencer Fano. Spencer Fano just plays meaner than he does.
All right, so we're 28 picks in, fellas. Jim, I'll throw this one to you. So I'm gonna crowdsource this a little bit. After the draft, I'm gonna be doing some short videos, winners, losers, that kind of thing. We got to do it. I have plenty of losers tonight from a fantasy perspective. Who do you have anybody who comes to mind as a clear fantasy winner? And I'll tell you the 2 names I have written down right away: Devontae Adams, and I guess by default Terry McLaurin.
Oh wow, I like the way you added McLaurin there, right? Because you know who's a huge winner? Chigakonkwo, because McLaurin has already seen alpha targets. But I'm telling you, and look, our good friend Andrew Cooper, he's always been about, if your tight end is the second option in the passing game, that's somebody you want in fantasy football. So you mentioned McLaurin, and you're 100% correct. I think Okonkwo is a massive, massive, massive winner here. And outside of that, I still think Dallas Goedert is a big winner because 2 smaller receivers. If there is a physical down and distance third down, I have to think that he is going to be a primary read on a third down and continue. He won't mess at 11 touchdowns the last year, but Dallas Goedert may have cemented the passing part of the red zone passing attack. I like those 2.
Yeah, I think an underrated winner, Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson. Olavide Vega is the best offensive lineman overall, I think, in this draft, and they struggled from interior pressure. Derrick Henry was getting hit immediately. So getting someone that you can plug in right away, this reminds me back to the throwback days when they had these just 2 maulers back there. And now you get an added protection, so Lamar Jackson doesn't have to constantly run out of from behind the line and then make some erratic plays, because we saw a lot of that, and a lot of that was due to the poor play, or a poor offensive line play. And Derrick Henry, I think we're going to see closer to what we saw the year before in his first year in the Ravens now, especially since they got some real talent along the trenches.
It's funny you say that, Jagger, because I had done a couple shows this week, and I specifically said Ione was going to the Ravens, and I, just like you, I said that Lamar and Henry would do. I'm very good to hear that we're agreeing on this one, but it was something I saw before the draft, and you saw that instantly. And so you look at you got a couple or 2 or 3 RotoWire guys on someone right away. So again, buy your Ravens.
Yep.
Do we have to call Cam Scatterbo a winner? I think he's a winner.
Not a loser.
He's not a loser.
Yeah, he's not a loser.
Yes, I've arrived. I'm not a loser. Yes.
I mean, it's the question.
Trade.
Do they
trade?
You got to trade?
The Jets are now on the clock. That's all we know. But if I had it right, the Chiefs were on the clock here. But the Jets are.
I believe it's the Niners. Niners traded out
because the Niners had it 30, but that's fine. So, but pick. There you go. That sounds
would be
correct.
Stowers. Do you think it could be Stowers?
Oh,
just a wild pick here. Like is this the Stowers spot? Because like what else would they be trading for here? Like again, there's some edge guys that I really like, but a big need. They need to think about the future beyond Travis Kelce, and then if Rashee Rice decides to go to jail again, we don't know.
Yeah.
Seems to be a yearly thing.
Possibility.
So
we still need the Chiefs pick at 29 though, right?
That's what I'm asking.
That's what I'm talking about.
One.
Yeah. So Jets have traded to 30, right?
Yeah. So thank you for clearing that because we had that happen earlier. We had a trade. We had everything set up. And well, what the heck happened to the prior pick? So continue on with that, Nick.
No, I think Jagger's onto something with the Stowers play, and that's something I talked about in one of my videos today. Is when you're looking at NFL draft long shots, this was I think it was 10-1 on Stowers to be a first round pick. You got a slightly better price on over 1.5 tight ends, but obviously if there's going to be 2, it would be him. I think it's Travis Kelce's succession plan makes a lot of sense to me. And I think Kansas City probably filled their biggest need already in this draft. You can afford to make what would ultimately be a little bit more of a luxury pick. I guess the counter to that, Jim, would be, what we talked about with the Rams, right? When you're making that luxury pick, when you're taking a player who is not going to play for you this season, not that Stowers wouldn't, he would be in the mix, but obviously Kelce is back. You're losing a little bit in the short term if you make that selection.
As we talked about earlier in this show, Andy Reid, it seems like he stagnated. But maybe Andy Reid learned something from Sean McVay. Maybe
it's gross.
Right? Maybe he learned, instead of no.
Sorry. Peter Woods, man.
Oh.
Ooh.
Ugh,
Cold water on this.
I'll start this one off, man. Peter Woods' big thing is he's big and is he athletic. He shows up smaller and he doesn't do any athletic testing. What are we getting there? On tape, I have it here, his technique. He stands straight up. Yeah, he's 6'6", but that 6'6" is that doesn't work in football, guys. I don't understand this. This is an upside chasing pick that I hate. This is a rare Chiefs pick that I just don't like at all. So this is one of the worst picks of the night, in my opinion. So
does it, and we can see the graphic here. I think he's the only guy that has 2 negatives on his graphic. So we know where you come in on Peter Woods. Does it make you feel any better that he lands in KC? Because there are certain organizations that get the benefit of the doubt, right? Where the Ravens draft somebody, you just assume it's going to turn out. We've seen this in the NBA for years. Like, oh, the Spurs got him. You just know he's going to be good. Does that apply to KC?
That's an interesting way to see it. And yes, I think Spags getting a hold of him, that does count. So I will stop my muling for a second to at least look at, just for a moment and look at the positive where he has elite size. If Spags had put it together, you have someone who could be a lot like, what does it remind me of? Calais Campbell, I think. There's a lot of that to his game. So,
okay.
Look, at the end of the day, and the Chiefs obviously have been to 3 Super Bowls in the last 4 years, won 2 of them. They know Chris Jones is an outlier, okay? But that's it. You got to go edge, you got to go corner, you got to go offensive tackle, or you got to shut Jim up because the pick is in. With the 30th pick in the NFL draft, per Jordan Schultz, the New York Jets, they got Garrett Wilson some help, and they got Geno Smith some help. Wide receiver Omar Cooper. Take it away, guys.
All right, we're up to 5.
Yeah, I love this pick, to be honest, because I think Omar Cooper is a high upside too, who can give you some one-ish numbers. And as long as you don't ask him to come out there and be Amon-Ra St. Brown, you can use him a lot like Amon-Ra St. Brown. If you look at like his reception perception numbers, not quite a winner, but one of the best blockers in the class. And I love his athleticism. He plays a lot bigger than what he's listed. So to me, the Jets are cooking. Sorry, Aaron Glenn. Maybe I wasn't familiar with your game.
Hey, quietly, I had Omar Cooper going different team, but I am going to pick 30. I got my 7th pick right of this round, and I'm good with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
There we go, Jim. Yeah, I think the Jets are having the draft fantasy-wise that we hope the Dolphins would have.
Yeah.
100%.
Geno Smith, big-time winner. Let's just say it.
Yeah.
I
I added him to the list. I just typed it in. Geno Cyril Smith III, a winner.
My goodness, Geno Smith can be like the quarterback 21 this year, which is a great boost from where he's been.
He was in the shadow realm, guys. Like now, Geno Smith is a real person again. He's a real boy. He's not this shell of himself. He's not in Kirk Cousins land.
So you, Jim, you think this is all a plus for Garrett Wilson, Sadiq plus Cooper?
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. When you look at Garrett Wilson, look, he has seen so much coverage in his career, yet on a per game basis, he's been right around the wide receiver 1 tier. Now, if you're going to tell me Garrett Wilson has some cover, and there's no way he's not getting his 26, 27% target share. That's happening. And Garrett Wilson with space, oh my goodness, look out.
Mm-hmm. And I think that Geno already knows the assignment, which is get Garrett Wilson the targets. It doesn't mean that these guys aren't going to get targets, but I just don't think that I don't think that Garrett Wilson's all of a sudden like chopped liver. He's just going to have higher quality targets. If anything, Adnan Mitchell's no longer real. You can drop him in Dynasty. Yes, exactly. Obi-Wan Outlaw, you're part of this stream. You're part of this show. Love you, dog. I'm happy you're having a good night.
Now get the video fired up, Obi-Wan. Let's get you in here.
Yeah.
Trade. The Titans traded up from the 2.03 pick. They traded with the Bills. The Bills have been active. I think isn't that their second trade of the first round? But it won't be the Bills at 31. It'll be the Tennessee Titans. And then right now, the 32 pick is the Seahawks. Get back at it, guys.
It's got to be for defense, or they're still. Let me look at my big board here. What we have left. Caden McDonald's interesting. If you want to go that route. Offensive line, if they still want to go that way. Emmanuel Pregnone, if they want to work on the interior. Jennings Dunker. That's someone that I like for day 2. So he's fun vibe there. I don't think they go wide receiver.
This guy looks and sounds like he would be a Tennessee Titan.
Oh, Dunker?
Yeah,
dude. Yeah. Like that would be kind of a vibe pick that I like. If not a little bit of a reach, I would take it.
Doesn't he look like what Taylor Lewan looks like now when you see him on ESPN with that cool mustache?
Yes, 100%. And the red flowing mullet, like if you're gonna have red hair, you want to look like Jennings Dunker. I feel like.
Yes, sir.
Oh man.
So Jagger, you threw out a great comp for Concepcion on Zay Flower. Do you have a comp for Omar Cooper?
Omar Cooper, let me go to his page here, because let me put what I have, because I brought up Amon-Ra St. Brown because I see that to his game.
Sure.
That's obviously the highest of ceilings that I don't think he quite goes to. But my floor comp for him, Kendrick Bourne. And the reason why Kendrick Bourne had some production there. He's a solid blocker, and I like that he's used as a slot. The ceiling...
Jagger's going to hate me every time he gets rolling with the 31st pick in the draft, per our friend Jordan Schultz. The Bills select Auburn pass rusher Keldrick Falk. Falls down quite a bit, but that is a great pick. Sorry to cut you off, Jagger, but this is a big deal.
I'm not a Falk guy. Sorry, Jim. On here.
Oh, no, I'm not either, but it is a big deal in terms of the pick being in, I meant.
Oh, yeah. Like this, to me, I'm really shocked that he actually, I'm not. Everyone's been telling me that they like Falk a lot. When you look at pressure rates, both from a season standpoint And from a career standpoint, Keldrick Falk's one of the worst in this class. It's all vibes. He's another Peter Woods. It's all vibes. He has some of the longest arms in this class. He has some solid bend. The athleticism is all right, but he has zero pass rush skills. Very good run stuffer. I just don't love it, man. This is going for absolute floor, and I guess it makes sense for the Titans. Like, cool, you're good at run stuffing. You got another run stuffer.
Schultz screwed that up. He reposted. Obviously, that was the Titans pick and not the Bills. That's where I got a little bit confused, but he reposted it. And it is Keldrick Falk to the Titans who traded up for that pick. But same talk still works that Jagger mentioned, just a different team.
Yeah. Don't think he's any better on a different team. So.
Hey, before we move on,
yeah.
we have one pick left in this round, and we have had a lot of people hang with us tonight, and this has just been wonderful. Nick, do you want to talk to the audience a little bit about the show and our promotion?
Yeah, I mean, we appreciate everybody coming in and hanging out. I think we've shared about as much information as we possibly can at this point, but still going strong late in round one. And like you see there on your screen, we got the draft special running all the way until the end of the draft on Saturday. So 50% off any of the subscriptions that we offer over at RotoWire.com. Just head over to RotoWire. You can check out all those options. All you have to do is you have to type 7 characters consecutively, no spaces, DRAFT 50, draft 50, put that in at RotoWire, 50% off. I mean, normally we run promos all the time, Jim, on our podcast, on VSiN, on the radio. It's usually 15% off. I mean, this, again, I already said, not a math guy. This is more than triple that. 50% off. We do not run these type of specials very often. So again, put in that code draft50 at RotoWire. Take advantage of that.
And before
Especially
we get to the 30-second pick, can I point out, and Jagger going to say a second, I just wanted to point out to everybody, this is the first year we've had Jagger and Nick on this show. This has been a wonderful grouping. I know a lot of you were with me in prior years. This has been a great upgrade for us to having the whole team here. So I just want to point out Jagger and Nick, we had another pick in a minute. Been an absolute pleasure. But before we go, Jagger, you were saying something.
Oh, I was just going to say, we got betting tools now, guys, over there. Like, this is the time to get in on that action over there. So this is, Nick said, this is a rarity. I may ask them to do a Jack 50 on my birthday, and they'll tell me no, but I'll ask just for you.
The smart money tool in particular, I would say, is what we want to point you toward. Go check out the page, rotowire.com/smartmoney. Basically giving you the opportunity to tail professional bettors. That's the upsell. But go check it out for yourself. You'll hear plenty more about that on our various RotoWire productions. I think this means, Jim, since I'm on this stream with you, you have to, when we do this for the NBA draft in June, we need you on there.
Hey, I can call the picks in from Jordan Schultz. Man, I could be your man doing that to set you up, tee you up, but ask me for analysis.
As long as we have you there, to queue up the sound and the animation to cut us off, that's all we need.
I can do that. I can give you a vowel.
Can you grow a goatee? I want to dress you up as Glazer, give you multiple phones that you have.
No better
right
to end fantasy football show. Albert Breer tells us with the 32nd pick, last pick in the first round, the Seahawks, Jadarian Price running back. We've got a fantasy play here.
It happened for real. You're lying to me.
Albert Breer lied to me.
I don't have a graphic for this, guys, and I'm protesting this pick. It's not real to me. So, it's something. It's a reach.
I look at this. It is a reach. But they lost Kenneth Walker, and they lost Clint Kubiak, which is the biggest loss. Zach Charbonnet's coming off a torn ACL. They need speed. And Jadarian Price, I think in PPR leagues, I think he's going to get a ton of dump-offs from Sam Darnold. So you're right, Jagger. Am I excited about the player? No, I don't think his athleticism really merits his pick. But for the Seahawks' vast need, I think volume's king in fantasy football. And I just see from a pass-catching perspective, he could catch some passes. Jagger's not buying.
Yeah.
He caught 2 passes.
I know. I know. They didn't need him to do it, though.
You know what's nuts, though? My ceiling comp for him, this was before the measurements came out, was Kenneth Walker. For all the reasons that you said. I was like, he hasn't caught passes. Kenneth Walker didn't catch passes in college, but he could if you throw it to him. So I don't know, man. This is Peter Schrager, man. Peter Schrager, another killer mock, I think.
Yeah. He's physically capable of catching footballs. That's, I think,
Yes.
the main point here. Not good for Emmanuel Wilson. Those of us buying shares on him. I mean, I'm not really planning for Zach Charbonnet to be a fantasy impact player. I'm not going to be stashing Zach Charbonnet. Maybe there'll be a bidding war in a few leagues later in the season. But given the timing of that injury, I'm just not expecting much out of him. So if you're really down on this pick, Jagger, how big is the drop off to you from Jadarian Price to whoever your RB2 or RB3 is, I guess, Mike Washington, Singleton, Emmett Johnson, whoever it might be? Like, could Seattle have basically gotten a very similar player in round 2?
Yeah, why not trade up and get Mike Washington later? It's like, it's in round 2. Like, you just lost, like, granted, Reek Woolen fell off a little bit. Go get Colton Hood or Braden Sissy. Go get another cornerback here. Get Mike Washington later. Go get Jonah Coleman later.
Right?
This is insane reach. Insane reach. I don't know.
And that I agree with, because when I had done my mock, I suggested Seattle wait to the end of the second round because, like you said, Jagger, I don't think they would have had much worse of an option, as you're intimating, by waiting a full round. Like you said, they lost a lot of infrastructure in this offseason. This could have been a pick to have built that. 100% of the same page on that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Eli Stowers did not go in round 1, guys. We lost that one.
I'm down bad. Bad.
We're down bad. But nonetheless, a very fun first round tonight. An interesting way to cap it off. I feel like we're going out with bad vibes. Jagger hates the pick so much at 32. But like you said, Jim, at least we ended with a fantasy relevant player.
Mm-hmm.
That's huge. Everybody, and I'm speaking for myself, I said it earlier, but thank you for hanging with us. You have no idea how much fun it was to hang with everybody on draft night. You had so many options, and so many of you hung here. We appreciate you.
Yep, we do.
Well said. Well said, man. Well, yeah, we'll wrap it there. Obviously, day 2 of the draft continues tomorrow night, but appreciate everybody hanging out with us, the comments in the chat, whatever medium you were watching us on. We were streaming on Facebook. We might have people jumping in there. I don't even know, but make sure you check out that offer. Again, we will put it up on the screen one more time, 50% off right now, a very rare 50% off sale over at RotoWire. Put in the code DRAFT50, take advantage of that before the draft wraps up on Saturday. You can follow me on Twitter at Waylon, but the L is a 1. I always have to say it looks better written than it does spoken. I made a very bad choice like 15 years ago. Follow Jagger at Jag Says, and of course follow Jim at Jim Coventry NFL. Fellas, great hanging out with you for the last 3+ hours. Great hanging out with everybody in the chat. We'll talk again soon.